Welcome, welcome, beautiful souls, to our wrap up of the 888 Lionsgate portal. Oh, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm the magical medium. My name is Tallulah Kelly. I also have another channel called Lula's Life. If you're interested in my personal journey over there, for the new people, welcome. And for those of you who keep coming back, welcome back. We have a lot to cover today. I'm going to do my best not to knock this over, but we have hope and we have love. And I have been playing with these altars for... I've just been having a lot of fun today. You know, whenever Spirit and I get together, it is a party. And I hope you feel it too, because right now I am seriously like feeling like such party energy. Like I just want to have a good time. Hence wearing, I've been telling you guys about my unicorn t-shirt that I love. Yeah. Love it, love it, love it. It is the cutest thing ever. I gotta tuck it back in. These pants are those kind of pants that are high-waisted, which I love. And they're so comfy to sit in, but they kind of cut off. So there we go. So this is our mascot today, is the unicorn. Even though, you know, in this portal, we're dealing with energies from all over the universe. I felt like the unicorn really wanted to come in today because it's a celebration. It's a party. It's a party. It's a cake party. I wish I had some cake to offer you. I wish I had some cake myself. Oh, I have to be mindful of that. Okay, so interesting. Hey Jude just came on. I just saw my thing because I forgot to put this on pause. Okay, so we are going to be reading from the Archetypes Oracle deck. And we are also going to be reading from the Answer is Simple deck. I pulled these cards already. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I pulled these cards already. Some of them were from some of the individual pick-a readings, and some of them I just, when I was pulling cards for the pick-a reading, they wanted to come in. So, with that being said, if you haven't seen the 888 portal, Lionsgate portal reading, pick a reading, it was basically just messages from the Lionsgate portal. Like it was just like whoever wanted to talk to you from wherever they were, whatever was happening. We did 3 readings. They were really profound. And they told me I was going to do a bonus reading. And it was kind of happening as it was coming together. So I thought it was going to be like a reading like a bonus reading, like for everybody, or like a collective reading kind of thing. I had no idea they were going to have me do it so separately like this. And not only that, I thought I was going to do it that day. And then yesterday I kind of had a little bit of a freak out. Yeah, okay, I'll just admit it. I did. Because it came to my attention that yesterday was an 8-day. And you know, I'm so into the angel numbers and numerology and the Akashic record and all that. I'm just an oracle. You know, I'm an oracle. I'm basically a medium, channel, divine entity. And I have to be an angel to be able to hold this energy. I have to be able to be a certain kind of person, human. Everything has to be a certain way for me to be able to do that. Just like the way I use cannabis as my medicine. It's not just my medicine, it's my flotation device. Like when I'm out there in the seas of the consciousness and the unconsciousness, I'm dealing with people from not just, you know, when people read cards. I remember in the beginning, hold on, you know what I just realized? I forgot to put my phone in airplane mode, and I really want to do that because I don't want to be interrupted. But we have some messages on here, so I need to keep it nearby. And Isis says hello and sends her love. Obviously, our beautiful Egyptians, you know. Shoot, I forgot what we were talking about, Spirit. Because there's so many, it's like sometimes when I'm doing these, that's why I said when I read for people, I would rather do it on the phone, because I close my eyes and I go, I'm like in another world. It's like my body's here, but I'm in so many different places. That's why I'm a channel. So it's like, but I'm not just a channel. I can kind of see everything all at once. It's hard to explain, because when I first started channeling, I realized it was kind of like partitioned off. That's why it was like channeling, right? Because like I was channeling for that one person, their energies, their ancestors, the, you know, whatever, Galactic Council would want to speak with them. But then when I started doing these broad readings for multiple people at once, I started to realize, I'm like, okay, this is a whole other ballgame. So I needed to be able to do this, to do these pick-a readings, to have these like kind of separate energies while I'm working with spirit, because I needed to get stronger. You know, I've been hearing that song from Rocky, Getting Strong Now, or Getting Stronger. I don't remember exactly. Right? It's like I've just been feeling this amazing, awesome energy. I can feel the universe right now. That's why I'm laughing so hard because they're laughing. But sometimes it's funny because like what happens is I'm like, I'll start out with like a few energies or entities, or I'll call them in, and then they all start coming in, and it's very interesting. Some like literally like will like show me like a chair, like they're pulling up a chair to sit down. It's just so different. Some will be laying down eating grapes, like, you know, Cleopatra, you know, whatever. And it's such, this has been going on since I was a child. I called bullshit when I was a little kid. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I was kind of like, I have a wrinkle, like a really hardcore, I call it the what the fuck wrinkle. And I come by it honestly because I was such an old soul and such a tender soul. But also I was just very confused. I didn't understand, or I would see like really horrific things and I was like, what just happened? I'm like, oh no, like this is horrible. Sorry, I forgot this is a tie here and I'm like pulling myself. I don't want to cover the unicorn, but I'm like getting caught up in my fabrics and I don't want to knock anything down. There's so much happening all at once. So I'll come back around to what we were saying if it's meant to be. But there are just so many things that have been coming through during this portal, and I have my personal life. I've gone through so many challenges during this portal, and please honor me by sharing your story below. Always feel comfortable to share your story below. I don't know, you know, sometimes I'll go in and I'll just answer everybody like in one day if I have the energy. Right now, I just haven't had the energy. For months, I have not had the energy to go in and read comments. And I try to, or sometimes if I'm on there and you catch me, it's like cool. But then like, I'm like getting off, you know, because I need, that sounds wrong. But you know what I mean? But it means I need to, you know, sometimes I just need to go on there and I don't want to get lost in the fucking matrix, man. I don't want to get lost in that abyss of that, you know. I've got so much going on out here. I have so much happening in my world. I'm so happy in my life. I'm so happy being alone. I'm that kind of energy and entity that, you know, I'm never alone. You know, even when I masturbate, I'm always like, can I have a little time to myself, please? You know, because I'm just like, I know they're not watching me, but at the same time, it's just like this kind of like, I, you know, put a protection barrier around and it's like, this is my time. This is my sexy time with me, myself, and my fantasies. You know, it's like we're allowed to say no, you know, like I'm in my own world right now. I don't want, you know, whatever. But for me, I'm so divinely connected and protected because I'm such a powerful oracle. And when I started doing this, I was approached by archangels and angels and dragons and unicorns and fairies and elves and all these different energies from all over the universe. The creator themselves, God, goddess energy, right? Because, you know, I realize now the flotation device, thank you. The flotation device is there for me because the cannabis is there as my flotation device because it helps. I have different strains and we go through, you know, we go through different incarnations of things, spirit and I, until I get to the point that they want me exactly where they want me to be, mentally, physically, emotionally. I started putting this together like so many hours ago, I don't even know. And during that time I have music on and then I recorded videos and then I was singing and then I was crying and then I was going through the gamut because this portal was like unlike anything I've ever experienced and it's been so amazing and I am feeling the most like myself because I don't know if I ever really knew what myself was. I was such a little, you know, sponge that picked up so much from everything and everyone and every trauma, every terror, every just so many things. Oh yes, and so they're saying, with that being said, they wanted me to remind you that by the time this comes out, I am going to be posting. It's already done. It's uploaded. I just have to edit it and put it out. But on my other channel, Lula's Life, and there's links on this channel for that. And thank you for liking and subscribing and your contributions. They are so welcome. I'm so excited to see what's coming next. Honestly, like I'm so excited to see what's coming next. Every moment has been different. But I digress. So when I was having a moment on the 888 portal, they want me to share it with you, but in bits and pieces throughout the reading. But if you want to get the story of my day, of what the Lionsgate portal was like for me for 2024, please head over to Lula's Life and look for. I don't know what the title is completely at this moment, but I know it's going to be something about trauma bonding, because I realized how much almost every single one of our relationships has some type of trauma bond, for those that we have conflict with. Because when we get to a certain point where we are no longer looping in the trauma, but other people in our orbit are looping through the trauma, we realize that that trauma bonding is not healthy for us. It's not insignificant, Spirit is saying. It's not like that, because I feel like somebody says, what is it, insignificant? It's like, no. It's significant. It's just that helped mold you into who you are. You know what I mean? Like, I watched my parents fight and say horrific things to each other. I watched them hit each other, hurt each other, literally like come at each other with weapons. Like, I saw things, under the age of 5, right? So to see that as a child, I mean, now, if I was standing in the room as an adult, I would just pick up that child and run. I'd be like, oh my gosh, like, they don't need to see this. They should not be seeing this, But I did. And I chose that because I needed to be able to see at a young age, what trauma was, and to see the beautiful things in my parents and also see the darkness in my parents. And also with all of my family members, all of my friends, I love and forgive you. I love and forgive myself. And it's taken me a really long time to get to this point to really understand what that means. And my partner, I don't know what twin flames are or soulmates, or I don't know if they're just labels that have been, put on, because I believe I've had more than one twin flame in this incarnation. So if I went by the definition of what a twin flame is and what a soulmate is, I've had both. And I've had more than one of both. So very interesting. And I've had lovers that were in my life for a brief second and changed me forever, So looking back on my whole life and looking at everything that's transpired up until this moment and watching what's happening, what's unfolding in front of us, I was talking, to my partner about this recently. I said, I'm like, I'm not bringing this up again to be like, look at me, because I am an oracle. I'm a medium. It's just what I am. It's like, it's almost like I'm this crystal. It's like I'm this crystal, except for they made me into human form. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's the same. It's just my consciousness. It's like crystals have, energy and entities and consciousness, right? And so just like humans. So I, understanding this, what I mean by telling you this is that I'm understanding the patterns of when over my entire life where I would see things, hear things, feel things. I remember, I do remember literally sitting with, I don't remember who I was sitting with. I know my dad was there. For some reason, I feel like my dad was there and he was drunk and he wasn't paying attention to me. But I feel like there was someone else there. If not, it's hard to say, because when I was growing up, I had these, these spirit guides. We all do, right? I had all these energies and entities looking out for me, and I didn't really understand that until people told me that they couldn't see what I saw, and I learned at an early age to zip it because I was weird, crazy, all this stuff. Don't be like grandma. You want to end up in the, loony bin. These are the words that were used, in my presence. And so I tried so hard to be everything everyone wanted me to be. I really did try. I wanted to be loved so badly. I wanted to be accepted so badly. So I became all these different energies and entities and characters that they wanted me to be, because I would pick up as a telepathic medium as well. I would pick up, what they were saying or what they were thinking or what they were feeling, and then I would try to adjust that. So, and it was like a practice. So when I got together with them, and then, when I tried doing that, when I went home the last few times I went home, I was doing it again. I would get in their presence and I would mimic them, and I would I tried to be very sincere and loving with my sister about something, and she just took it as such a, she literally called me a weirdo. She's like, you're so fucking weird. Like, why are you being weird about this? And I'm like, okay, like I was trying to come at it, and I was like, no, it's just not, this isn't going to work. I'm like, this isn't going to work, because every time I try to be myself, I wasn't accepted, or I was made fun of. And I was like, you know what, this isn't, I have a job to do, and it is so much bigger than my bone and blood. I mean, I love them with everything I am. I pray for them and send them love every day. And I forgive them. I know that they were working from their level of consciousness, just like I forgive myself for the horrible things I've done and said, and the things that have occurred. You know, if I could take it all back, I would. If I could change it, but I wouldn't. You know what I mean? Because we needed to be those people. So with all this being said, Spirit has been jogging me down these old roads, and having me revisit these things. Not just my own things, but like things with my family, things with, you know, Earth family, like humans and experiences and energies. And, you know, especially when I feel something, and 99.9% of the time I'm right. And it's not because, like I said, like I'm like, ooh, I'm right. It's just because of whatever I am, I can feel it. I'm a human bullshit barometer. I can literally feel when someone's lying. And it doesn't mean they're giving me an outright lie. It just means that I know, I can feel that something about their story is not true. And if that comes up, then I instantly have to investigate and be like, can I trust this person? I had to build blocks and barriers with my friends and my family, because I couldn't handle the horrific things that they were thinking about me anymore. You know, I had always felt that or known that, but over the years I would cry and say, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to, you know, or I'd call somebody out on something they were saying or doing, and that look of like they were caught. And we both know that they were caught, but it was like, you know, and I was just like, I can't play these games anymore. You know, I'm like, she won't hold. It's always one of my favorites, because it's true. It was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't lie. I've got shooting pains up my back, Spirit. I've got pines and, you know, pine needles. Speaking of, this is my therapy. I forget which breed this is. I'll have to find out. It's the one that smells so sweet and so good. And when I'm feeling that, it helps ground me like no other. I just want to, you know, I'm going to burn some right now. But yeah, it was just too much. You know, when you get to that point where you're like, it's just enough is enough. And I know that you guys are going through it too, because if you weren't, I wouldn't be talking about it. So, oh my gosh, it's like it doesn't want to burn. I was literally sticking it in the fire. It did a little, but not much. Okay, so maybe it just wants to, this is my little offering to Spirit. It's like it doesn't want to. It's like, this is good. You don't need to burn it. Okay. But there's this delicate child in all of us. There was one point at some time where we felt wronged, we felt betrayed, and whenever that happens, we start building it like a ticker tape, you know, like, is that what I'm saying? Right? We're like, or tit for tat, like a competition. Then we, you know, that grew into like victim mode. And then it was like, oh, wait, I can manipulate someone's emotions. Wow, look at what I can do. And with all this being said, what I realized and what I noticed and what I felt was when Spirit had me go and watch, like, not endless footage, but way more footage than I would have cared to have watched of the election stuff. It made, at first I was like, oh, like I can't, I'm like, oh, it just feels so gross. I don't want to watch him. I don't want to hear him. I'm like, just tell me what you want me to say. I'm like, please don't make me. I was like, don't make me. But then I'm like, it's my job. And then I realized, okay, you know what? I know what's happening here. The more I was watching them and their behavior, and I will speak of the Republican candidate because I don't have to say their name, for America. The more I was triggered, because I already lived through 4 years with this person, and I'm like, I know with everything I am and everything the planet is and this portal and everything I've been feeling and the year of the dragon, and I can go on and on and on and on and on. Today in real time is August 11th, 2024. 11, right? 8 is infinity for the Dragon's Gate, Lion's Gate portal. 11 is for the angels, and 2024 is 8, right? So it's 8, 11, 8. We're like bookended by infinity of love and protection. And in the middle, we're at 9. when you add all the numbers together, because 8 and 8 is 16, and then 11, 17, 18, 8 and 1 is 9. And 9 is, we're almost there. We're at the end. We're almost at completion. Hang on, hang on, hang on. I mean, think about this for a second. 2024 is an 8 year. That means 2026. I have been seeing 2026 for a long time, you guys. Like at least 8 to 10 years I've been seeing it, where I was like, I feel like that's going to be it. And not that the world was just going to like change overnight. Like I knew that, but I just had a feeling that was going to be the tipping point. And I was like, well, that would make sense, because that comes out to number 10, completion, for us to start over again. Right. So, right, I just got the chills, right? So 2026 is 10, and then 2027 is 11, which is angels. And it's like, and I feel like we will have tipped the scales. That's why there's no fear to be had. This person is not going to take over. It's not going to happen. You know why? Because when I was watching a lot of stuff, now mind you, I'm watching things on the internet, so I'm going by what feels real, but I'm also going by what's out there. Whether people zone into those emotions or zone into like that energy, you know what I mean, is on them. But for me personally, I feel the joy. I feel the excitement. I feel the power. I feel it. Like I'm different. I feel different. I feel very, very anchored here, but I feel anchored here in light. I really do. And I think the best thing that could have happened for me and my partner was for us to take all this time alone during this. And we spent the 888 portal together, but it like kind of blew up in our faces. And at first I was really upset about it because of the way it went down. But then when we worked through it, I was so grateful for it, because we both had so many breakthroughs and tears, and oh, it's starting to make me emotional. It was just really powerful. And then when they left, I like kind of got out of that and went back to the party. And I was like, am I gonna do the reading? You know, this, I was like, yeah, I'm jazzed. They're like, dude, you have been through enough today. Like, just enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. So I had some super fun, delicious food, and I watched fun movies. I watched Christmas movies. I just like stayed in like that energy, because it felt like Christmas to me. And then like the last few days, I've just been feeling this really heavy energy. Yesterday, I was like, oh, this is the day you wanted me to do it. I get it. I'm like, I fucked up. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like apologizing to spirit like a human would for not being perfect, not understanding. And I was like, and my higher self came in so lovingly and said, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. We will always tell you like exactly where you need to be. Like, don't do this to yourself. So when you start having these moments, trust me, you'll know. You'll get the signs. If you're supposed to do something, you will know. And trust me when I tell you, like, I've had it to the point where I've had like physical things where an entity is channeled into a human being and came and spoke to me and introduced themselves as Archangel Michael and told me in person, they're like, we don't have any more things to fucking tell you. Like, you're done here. Like, this is done, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? You know, and I couldn't deny it. I was like, this person, I've never met this person. They literally walked in off the street while I was partying with my friends at the, you know, Southeast, you know, Art Walk, Southeast Portland Art Walk, you know. It was so surreal. And I've had so many things like that happen. And I'm telling you, it's going to happen to you too. If it hasn't happened already, please feel free to comment below. Tell me about your signs. People need to hear that. Most of the time, I leave comments up, even if they're, you know, not so nice, or even if they're, you know, because I feel like you're more than welcome to come on and speak with them if you feel like you want to start a dialogue with them. I won't take bullying or anything like that kind of thing. But I feel like those comments are meant to be there. Whenever I'm meant to take something off or block somebody, Spirit tells me. And a lot of times when it's like that, it's only because it's somebody who's like filled with so much venom that it's just like whatever they're going through, we don't need that here. Like, that's something they need to deal with on their own, or it's children. And that has been happening a lot. I've been having these, and I don't know if they're real or if they're, I don't know. I don't know if it's the parents speaking for them. I don't know. But it's like these people who come on and, you know, say these things, but like the channel is like all their kids' stuff. And I'm like, so is it your kid? And is your kid really articulate in like what's going on? Anyway, it's just been really interesting. So, there's definitely something there. I mean, Spirit has me, you know, comment on certain things or go to certain places, and I don't always understand why. But when all this was coming together, this reading, just everything that's been happening, the whole portal. Mercury going retrograde, the new moon in Leo. I mean, just so much. The fire, you know, just like that fire energy. And I'm triple fire. Like I'm mostly fire in my makeup of my chart, of my birth chart. And mostly Sagittarius. And my third decan is Leo. So it's very powerful. And I had all these plans of things I wanted to do and all these experiences I wanted to have. And I was like, I failed. I fucked up, didn't I? And yesterday I was having this total fucking meltdown crash. And then I realized, no, I was wiped out. I was wiped out. And as I was going to bed last night, they had me watch more stuff. And again, I'm like, why am I watching these things about a person? Before I go to bed, I don't want to know this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to... And then I saw it, and I really saw it when I was led to watch a comedian who interviewed, what do they call them? The MAGA people. And it was mind-blowing, the breakthroughs that I was having. And the biggest one I had was when the one guy said, if it's true that he has 10 million followers and 10 million people who, you know, are voting for him and going to these rallies and blah, 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 blah. He's like, if that is actually happening, he's like, then we have to think about that there's like 10 million people that feel that way. And then I thought to myself, those are the ones that are just doing it. You know what I mean? We're not even talking about the ones that are like in the backgrounds, in the shadows, you know, acting one way maybe and wearing the mask and then like really being the hateful side of them, you know. And when that occurred to me, I thought, well, I mean, there's a lot of people in America. And not only that, but I thought to myself, no, sorry, I just had to be a smart ass. Drink some water, spirits. But whenever I get like a funny thing, I always feel like we need a break because my brain's like starting to hurt. Because the breakthrough that I had, and I mean it, pause it and go get some water if you don't have some. Stop the car and go and get some water. We need to stay hydrated and we need to keep eating as healthy as possible and keeping our avatars as healthy as possible because it's just going to get more and more powerful. Things are going to move faster and faster this next year. That's why I have this snake showing. I actually have the other side of the box, but they wanted me to show this. I wanted to cover the barcode, but because this is the year of the dragon and then we're going right into the year of the snake. So it's like right here we are, right? At like the halfway point between the year of the dragon and the year of the snake, right? Just like, what was the year before? Was it the tiger? I don't remember. Isn't that weird that I can't remember? And it doesn't matter because we're going to be shedding that skin. No, there are more people who don't want to live in hate than there are people who do. And so when I saw the breakthrough, when I had the click moment, was when he was interviewing people, and when he was asking them questions, they were answering the questions the same way that he does. Diversion, not actually answering the question. Or if he doesn't like the question and he doesn't like the person, he attacks the person. That's what bullies do. That's what narcissists do. That's what gaslighters do. Right? People are seeing Kamala and you know, VP Waltz, I don't remember his first name, you know, they are seeing them because they're like, we want to really change this place. And the thing is that a lot of people are like, oh, the government, fuck the government. I'm like, that's not true. I worked in government off and on for 6 years and in very high levels of government where like I was literally, the Secret Service came into my office, like into my building, you know, like into my, you know what I'm saying? Like I've worked with some of the biggest names in politics. And I am telling you right now, there are really, really good people in there. There are people who are really trying to take our powers back, you know, who are wanting to have the country the way it was when it was founded. You know, not the way it was founded, like, hey, let's go fucking kidnap some people from another country and make them our slaves. Let's do that. Fuck yeah, dude. We have these guns and we're going to like force them to do that. Like, well, it's like the rest of us are like, what? No, we just left that. We just left tyranny. We just left the monarchy. We don't want to fucking have that anymore. We want a place where we can all live free. Now, it's not cool what happened with the indigenous people, right? I'm not saying that, okay? I'm just saying that There are people who came here and didn't want to hurt them, that were like, hey, can we come live on your land? Like, we were being oppressed where we lived. Is there anywhere here that maybe we can share this place with you? You know, there were real people like that, you know, and there are people who went to other countries and did that too. It wasn't just America, right? I mean, hello, the white people, you know, but you could say the same, because I could go on and on and on about history, and I'm not here for history lessons, because the truth is, who knows anymore with this matrix what's true and what's not. That's what I'm saying. All I can go by is my feelings and what I feel. And most of my life I've had to go by what I feel, because I was born in 1971 and I could smell and see the bullshit 30 fucking, you know, not even. I could tell within seconds. I could smell it, I could feel it, I could taste it. I could taste somebody's vileness. I can taste somebody's shadow. I can tell that they're leading, you know, and then I didn't even realize it until I had to unlearn all of my bad behaviors to realize how much of a narcissist I was, what a manipulator I was, what a controller I was. Because when you're controlled by other people, when you're manipulated by other people, it's like a fucking game, right? So it's like you're like trying to figure out like how to, you know, and in recent days, I've had to go through the gamut of it. And I mean it. Like, I have gone through the gamut. So what I realized is all the people that are still supporting and following this negative, hateful bigotry, this greed, are people who've been wronged, are people who are hurt, are people who don't love themselves. Because if you loved yourself, you could never, ever, you can love these people, but you would never hurt other people like this. You would never seek out segregation. You would never want that. Because when you love yourself, you want to be loved for yourself. You want to be who you are. You don't want to be judged for the way you look, the way you dress, the way you, who you fuck, who you love. Like, I mean, it's just like, and who you make love to. Because some people find that abrasive. But sometimes it's a good shag. Sometimes sex is used as a tool to help you, you know, release tension, to release, you know, that. I'm not going to judge anyone on how they go through that. I'm not going to judge anyone at all for anything. But I definitely don't want to judge that, because I've been through that. I've had many partners. Most people would call me a whore, or, you know, you can go on, charlatan, gypsy. You can go call me whatever fucking thing you want to call me. This is who I am. You know, I love that song, you know, from The Greatest Showman. This is who I am. And if Spirit calls me to, I will put a link to it. But there is a moment when that song comes together. Oh, I just got the chills. In rehearsal. Oh, I just got the chills. Before it's actually like done for the movie. But you know, that's the kind of thing I've been wanting in my life. I want to watch things about love, about happiness, about joy. You know, I've watched hundreds of Hallmark movies over the years, and the one thing that I've found, the common thread, yeah, they're kind of the same fucking stories over and over, but the common thread of it is, it's about humanity, and it's about trying to push people to be themselves and to love themselves no matter what. I mean, let's put it this way. You know, when people were saying the Hallmark Channel was evil and it's against, you know, that they're Christian, you know, what was the thing that was going around about them, that they were, anyway, that they were false, basically, and that behind it was like this, you know, powerful Christian mafia kind of, you know, deal. And it's funny because it wasn't until Cameron, or what's her name? Kirk Cameron's little sister. She was on Full House. Anyway, Candace Cameron Bure, I believe it's her name. Thank you, Spirit. When she was like, I'm going to start my own channel because I don't want to be part of a channel that is going to have same-sex relationships. I just watched a Christmas movie last night that was so cute, and it was based on this marriage for this couple and this little town. I forget the name of it, but if I'm called to, I'll put it down. I subscribe to it, so it's free for me, but it'd be worth the purchase. It was a really cute movie, but it was like something about something about marriage. But because my marriage has been going through so much right now, I really enjoyed it, and I felt like it really just, so many things. I had so many aha moments during it. But the beauty of it is that it was about this couple who's on the brink of divorce, and they end up their marriage counselor ends up, pushing them to go to this small town for Christmas, blah, blah, blah. So they go there, and the inn that they stay in is for a gay couple, a male, two male identified, men, however you want to say it, whatever is proper and makes you feel good. I don't want to make anyone feel anything, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's languaging, so it's just, it's personal for each person. But it was a beautiful story, and I loved it, and I loved that it was at their inn and all this stuff, but that is why she started her own Christian, kind of like Hallmark, but it's all Christian. And she's like, we do same-sex couples, like we don't, because that's what's in the Bible. And I'm like, oh, and like, and I have to say, there must be something with she and I from like another time and place, because I've always thought she was cute as a button. I always thought she was a great actress and everything. And then when she started when I started like watching things about her and the things that her and her, I mean, I knew her brother was like that, and anyway, whatever. I'm not going to bash it. I'm not judging it. It's just, I couldn't. I can't even watch anything with her in it now. And not because she's not a good actor, and not because, but because I feel that it's hard for me to put my energy into other energy that is based in shadow and hate. We all have shadow, we all have light. But I cannot and will not stomach the hate, because it's all about love, man. And it's all about hope. And hope is different for everybody. And hope shines differently for everybody. And I send her love, and I would welcome a conversation. I would welcome a beautiful conversation and a debate with her, but from a loving place, because I grew up with the Bible. So I used to know that book backward and forward, like I'd read it how many times. And I tried to actually read it as an adult, and I couldn't. I mean, I had to just go through like Cliff Notes at one point, because I was just like, I can't. Like, I'm like, this is so fucked up. I'm like, this is so, like, every bone in my fucking telepathic medium, oracle, whatever the fuck, angel, like whatever I am, right? Every bone in my body tells me that there are things about the Bible that are wrong, but there are things about the Bible that are beautiful and are right. Because it was written by man, and they were given free will. And it's all about free will. So if you want to, people will use a book and they're like, this book is the book that says everything for our lives to live by. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like when I've met so many different Christians, and I've literally met so many different religions at this point, I couldn't even tell you. Worked with, talked with, studied with, followed for a while. Like, I have gone through the gamut. Because I wanted to understand. I needed to know. And my best friend at the time, she was my partner in crime. She was from Ecuador, and she was raised very much the same, except she was raised South American Catholic, and I was raised, my mother Southern Baptist, and my father was Catholic. So, it was very interesting to me. And when I would spend the night at someone's house, on a Saturday night, it was fine unless they dropped me off at church, brought me home for me to go to church with my mom, or I went to their church. I can probably count on two hands how many times I went to a Catholic church with my friends on a Sunday morning. I've been in plenty of churches for weddings, but I can pretty much count on two hands how many I was in for an actual service, with the kneeling and the standing and the, and the whole thing, and the whole thing, okay? So I'm going to share a story with you that happened to me when I was, I want to say 11 or 12. I was somewhere between 11 and 14, because that was the pivotal time that I spent a lot of time with the family that I went to church with. I want to say I was between 12 and 13, but all I can tell you is that there was a woman from our town. So we had like 3 or 4 towns that were kind of close knit together. And some of them literally, like, the boundaries were like, one side was like one strip mall of stores, the other side was like churches. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, almost like the same town. We just had different names, or like it would be like if you're in France, like different provinces or something, you know. But it's basically all, you know, we were South Chicago suburbs. But there were certain places in my town, and when I would go for walks, where on a clear day I could see downtown. So we were, you know, pretty close. Now, mind you, this story is very tragic, and I'm just gonna preface it by telling you it's like one of the worst stories I've ever heard in my life. But there was a woman who had 5 kids, and she lost one to drinking and driving. She lost one to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even remember all the deaths, and I don't remember their names. But she had 5 children. The last I remember hearing was that it was kind of like that thing, like you hear like, oh my gosh, did you hear what happened to so-and-so's, you know, whatever. And you're like, oh no, I didn't know. Because even if you like went to one school in this district, you could go to a church that's got like, you know, you got 3 friends and they're going to different high schools, you know. So we all kind of inadvertently knew each other. You'd hear stories like through the grapevine that, you know, there was no fucking internet. You know what I mean? Like, we were the internet. We were the internet. We were the grapevine. And so I had heard about this family. And then I don't know when or how or whatever. I don't quote me on every single detail, but I do remember that the last ones that died, they were on a bike together. The 2 kids were on a bike together, and they got hit by a car. The last 2. She lost 5 children within, I don't know, 5 years maybe, a decade. I don't even remember. I was young, you know. It's just those kind of things that you know it happened. So I'm at this church. What are the odds? What are the odds that I went to this church on this day, at this time, so I could share this story with you? But during the service, the doors fling open, and it reminded me of the scene in The Witches of Eastwick, when all that stuff happened, when the lady comes in and she's like, the devil is here, and she's like, all that stuff, and everybody's like, what the fuck's wrong with her? And everybody thinks she's crazy because he's making it seem like he's doing all these things to her, though, you know, to make it seem like she's crazy, because he doesn't want people to know that he's there to manipulate and take over the town and all that stuff, and, you know, have babies and take over the world, right? So, another good movie if you haven't seen it. But it was kind of like that. Like, she, like, very dramatically, like, flung open the fucking doors. She looked like she hadn't been, I don't know when the last time she slept or changed her clothes, or, I mean, she was gone. She was gone. And she walked in, and everybody was like, and it was like they just stopped the service, and I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Who is that? I'm like, I don't know, because I'm like, I don't fucking know who that is, you know? But it was her church, it was her congregation, so they knew her, right? So she walks in, and my friend's sister goes, that's Mrs., you know, McCarthy. Let's just say that's her name. I want to say she was Irish. And we had a lot of Irish Catholic on the south side of Chicago. You know, the dailies ran, you know, Chicago, you know, in my childhood, it was like, anyway. And I just remember, like, watching her, like, I was watching a movie, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And she just started to scream and yell, there's no fucking God. She's like, you're all fucking crazy. You're all stupid. She's like, there's no fucking God. There's no fucking God. And she was like losing her marbles, and they were all like, it's okay, Nancy, or whatever her name was. I don't know, it just came into my mind. But they were just like, it's okay, you know, blah, blah. And she's like, it's not okay. And she's like, it's not okay. She's like, 5, he took all of my children. What monster, what demon, what devil does that? Like, I'm paraphrasing, but that's how she was. Like, she lost her fucking noodle, man. But she didn't, right? Because she was just like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to believe in anything. Those are the people that are following the darkness. That's what's happening. So love them. Send Trump love. Send his people love. Because you know what else I saw? The fucking beacon of light. Because I saw some crazy ass fucking shit. I saw things I can't unsee, but I needed to see them. some things that people said. Some people from, like, this lady who's going to prison for what she did at the Capitol on the 6th, and she's still following him. She had like altars up like he's a fucking god. These people are like, he is Christ. They're like, hello, he is the second coming. Like, these words literally came out of these people's mouths. They literally believe that. And this comedian was like, they said all these things that Hillary did, and they're like, so Hillary should have, they're like, oh yeah, she should have been murdered, we should have just fucking hung her up in the town square, like that's how they used to do it. And they're really fucking serious saying this shit, man. They're really fucking serious saying this shit. And then the guy says to this guy who says all this stuff, he says, so if Trump did this, and this, and he named all the things that she did, he's like, would you want the same for him? He's like, well, no. And he's like, just like all the people who did all that, they're expecting to be pardoned, because he told these people, if you keep following me, once I become president again, I will pardon you. And then he even said, like, presidents should be pardoned, right? What other leaders and dictators do that? So if Hitler, did all those things, but he did it in the name of MAGA, that's okay? Yes, everyone should be very concerned about that, because he's basically saying, I don't have any rules. And who talks like that? A fucking narcissist, because they think it's them and the whole world revolves around them. Little fairy, thank you. But that's not what this planet is for. That's not what the universe is for. And shit's got out of hand. So trust me when I tell you, Spirit's got us covered. We're good. Everything's good. Some things will get ugly before they get better. My thing the other day was, when I was looking, I was like trying to zoom in. I'm like, does he have a scar on his ear? I'm like, because I don't see him. I'm like, because if you got fucking shot in the ear, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you would have a piece of your ear. Like, this was after he was shot, and his ear looks perfectly fine. I'm like, did he do like a blood pack on his ear? I'm like, I'm not kidding. I'm like, because everything about that smells desperation and bullshit to me. Every fucking thing about it. All these people have enough money to hire the best sharpshooter on the fucking planet. All they have to tell him in his ear is turn your head this way. You know what I mean? Like, I am telling you, with all that is holy, I saw the most ungodly, horrific things happen when I worked in politics, from people that I loved and respected, from people that I never thought they would fucking do that. I am telling you, we have shifted, and we have to keep our elevation of our energy high. I was crying hysterically on the 888 portal, yelling at my partner, saying, like, I asked you, like, if you didn't want to be with me today. I'm like, I was totally okay with being by myself, but you said you wanted to celebrate nature with me. I'm like, why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. And it was just wild. It was really, really, really wild. But in the end, it was a purge, and it was a release that needed to happen. It was that end of that shadow that I'm like, that's my past. I don't have to be a part of that anymore. I don't need to be a part of someone's vindictive behavior or their darkness. When someone is like not considering that other people have lives, that comes from somewhere. What's happening now is, even with Kennedy, I really tried because I had this really great conversation with this elder in my co-op, and I was like, okay, I will research them, I will. But what was interesting is he was really like diehard Christian from the Bible, and I said, well, it was funny because we were having this conversation that I said to him, I go, well, according to your book, sir, I said I'm a demon, and he's like, what? And I said, I'm a medium. I said, I'm an angel. I'm a light worker. Like, I'm here to, like, help, and he was like, oh, and he's like, well, and it's like, I could tell he was trying, but deep down, I was like, you can't lie to me, brother. Like, I can feel your energy. He shifted. His energy shifted. I've felt it my whole life. I'm like, you ain't the first person this has ever happened to me with. You know how many people I have rubbed the wrong way for just being myself? It's like, I'm happy and I'm joyful, and they want to fucking put out my light. And I'm like, sorry, ain't gonna happen. I'm gonna shine brighter. I got my labradorite. There's nothing, it's like, I'm protected. You may not be able to see it all the time, but I'm protected. We are protected. So don't allow, like, these, these energies or these entities to tell you, that you're this way or that way. The darkness, the shadow is coming for us hard right now because they're losing and they know it. It's an energy, right? And it's like it's taken on a life of its own and it wants to survive. But we are fairy energy, right? Like, where's my little fairy bow? Oh, here it is. Like, right? Like, we are fairy energy. Thank you, fairy. This beautiful fairy just came in. You see how cute her wings are. Right? Like, we're just like, nope. And if we're not in that, we're more in like this kind of energy. Because we know we're connected to something so much greater. I mean, the things that they think about this for a second. What kind of democracy is it if you pardon the people? Because he told them they're patriots. That's what they told the South too. They're patriots. You're fighting for, until they got into war, right? And these boys were like, why am I shooting this person? I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to kill someone. I don't want to keep someone a slave either. You know, it's like, there's just so much behind the hate. And we're talking generations and generations and generations. We're talking all the way back to Egypt and beyond. We can get back to the beginning with the Lemurians and the Atlanteans. You know, it's like the shadow isn't new to Earth. There's shadow forces out in the universe. Obviously, I mean, if it's true that there's billions of planets and it's like, we're just one. And even if we are the one of like the teaching and like whatever, like, cause right, that's such a third dimensional energy to be like, we are the best. Earth is, you know what I mean? That's such a fucking human thing. There is no hierarchy system, but yeah, we probably are a university of some kind. But there's many universities on this planet, just like there's probably many universities throughout the universe. University. Everything happens for a reason. And I only say that with like, just because I'm tired of, just because I've been like, so this is the thing to wrap this up, because we're going to get into the cards next. But the funniest thing that really got me last night was I have been like Johnny Five from Short Circuit. I've been like input. I just want to know. I want to learn. I want to, you know, and I got this vibe from Spirit, like to just like relax. And sorry, I'm feeling this back pain, which I haven't been having. If some of you are having it, I'm hearing do more stretches. I've been doing more yoga, more stretches. It does make a huge difference. So I'm hearing from Spirit, like get those stretches, like let your body stretch. But yeah, I've just been getting this like vibe to like keep learning, keep growing, keep going. But then I've been getting these vibes of like relax, slow down. I've been like in the middle of something recently, and Spirit's like just like won't let, they'll just like knock the internet out, they'll like whatever, and then I'll be like, oh, I am hungry, and then I'll go and make food, and I'll go and watch a movie. And you know, I haven't even been coloring or doing music like I thought I would. I thought I'd been writing music or recording music or something, and I recorded a little bit, but just more like just practice and having fun and stuff. But it's really been on this. And I realize when these kind of like holidays happen spiritually, I'm working. It's like those people who are like, oh, it's Labor Day, we're off, you know, because they're with the government. It's like, so they're off. And it's like, I'm like, I'm always working, whether I'm working in my, you know, dream state or I'm in human state. But my avatar has to rest, right? And so after this, I know that I'm going to do some editing and some uploading, but once that portal closes on Monday, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a sabbatical, a little break, because I'm exhausted. Like, I haven't been this tired in a while. But the best thing that happened was, so Spirit has been putting this reading, Spirit has been, water, thank you. Spirit has been putting this reader and this particular reading in my orbit. I don't even know how long, months. I don't want to say years, but months. I know nothing about them. I don't know their name. I didn't even know till yesterday that they had 375,000 subscribers. But I kept seeing their face, and I kept seeing this one particular reading. I don't even remember what the headline was for the reading. But it was something about like a message from, you know, like, you're a light worker, you know, this is a message from Spirit, from, you know, the outer realms, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the main thread of the reading was that you're done. She goes, let's put it this way. She's like, Spirit showing you, like, your crown chakra is full. Like, you're in teacher mode now. Like, you're always going to learn. You're always going to, and teach. But they're like, you don't have to work so hard at it. It will come naturally, or you can, now that I've been doing this more with my laptop, now that they upgraded the camera, I can use my phone more. I just make sure that it's on silent or in airplane mode or whatever, because I take screenshots of things. And because if music starts playing on here and it's like something, it'll jack my whole fucking video. And I don't have fancy software. So unless I buy fancy software to get it off, I wouldn't even know how. So I have to be really mindful. And I've been feeling that from Spirit for a while now, for all of us to get really grounded and mindful. Like, what are we doing? Where are we going? Why are we doing this? What is happening? I've been getting this huge thing from the Arcturians. And if you guys remember when I got my troll doll, Maddie, she's blue. And I was like, I had this huge breakthrough. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm pretty sure I'm Arcturian. And then I was just like, you guys, I think we're all Arcturian. Because I kept trying to like find the answer for us, like it's out there somewhere, but I was like, but it wasn't about that. It's about unveiling the answer to all of us. And that's my job, is to help us, to just put the breadcrumbs in front of everybody to help unveil the answers, because it's going to be different to each of us. My answers are not going to be the same as your answers. All I can do is kind of like, tell you my stories, share my experiences with you, tell you what I'm downloading from Spirit, and let you come to your own conclusions. But that's why I had more hope, actually. I didn't believe that I would feel this way, but after I researched all that, and after I watched all that, all I felt was love and compassion for them, because and hope came through. And why it made sense where we had love for the picker reading and hope for both, because the picker reading was really intense. All three of them were very, very interesting, and this one is too. Like, I already know some of the cards, but the one thing that I'm feeling the most, as one of my favorite shamans used to say, satiated. One of my teachers used to say. I know the shamans use so loosely. People are sick of that word. It's become a trigger word for some people too. But one of my greatest teachers said, whenever I'd say, would you like more, or do you need whatever, she'd be like, no, I'm satiated, thank you. And I was like, oh, I love that word. I'm like, wait, what does that mean? And then I realized, I'm like, that's so perfect. And that's kind of like what I'm feeling right now, is that it's taken me a decade of my life to become satiated and feel like my true core soul identity. I will always be and will always hold the part of the third dimensional energy and entity that I was born into. There's cellular memory. So I will always hold Kelly's memories. Like, I will always hold, Kelly Ann Wazalowski. Like, that was who I was born, I will always feel Tinley Park, Illinois is my home. I will always feel Chicago, Illinois is my home. I will always feel like those blood and bone and those family and those teachers and those, those everybody, right? And I mean teachers all the way around, not just, my actual teachers or my spiritual leaders or any of that. Like, we were all teachers for each other. Now it's time for us to stop competing against each other. It's time for us to stop, and if you don't believe what I don't believe in, that's okay, but I won't stop this, because this is a train that is on the track, and it is going to keep coming back, and it's coming full force. I want to say it's coming full force, right? It's coming full force. And those who don't believe in hope and love, they will. They will. Because love is an energy and it's a force. And if you don't know this, sorry about that little, if that hurts some of your ears, I apologize. But for some of you who don't know this, Albert Einstein wrote a letter to his daughter that he wanted her to read after he died. And the letter it's public knowledge, it's out there somewhere. But basically, the whole letter speaks of love, and that in all of his research through science and every form of research he ever did, he said that the only thing that humans, I'm paraphrasing, but basically he was saying it's love. Love is the only energy that you can't, you know what I mean? Like you can harness the energy, but you can't withhold love, because love is the beating heart of the universe, is basically what he was saying. And just go read it. It's so much better than anything I'm saying. Honestly, it's so beautiful. I love him so much. Like I love his teachings and the way that he looked at the world, and he was just a really beautiful soul. And I feel like in our tribe, with our people, you know, if you found yourself here, you're a light worker. You could be a light worker and a starseed. In my experience, I feel like there are light workers who are just people who came from like different realms and dimensions, outer space, whatever you believe in, planets, like, you know, universe, solar systems, whatever you want to believe in. But I believe that there are some that came here just purely as light workers. Like that's what they came here to do. They came here to just anchor the light for the planet. And then there are some of us that are actual star seeds. Like we come from the divine. Like we are literally like Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha. Like we were literally throat chakra. That's hard to admit and say out loud, right? But we are. We were planted here to be prophets, to live these experiences so we can share these experiences, so we can explain like what love means to us, or what we understand love to be from the universe. Like you can still hear my third dimensional trauma. You can still hear it in my expression. You can see it, right? Because I'm still working through things. I pray one day before I leave this vessel that I will have that pure, you know, there are some people that I know I've sat with, monks, healers, spiritual leaders. I've sat with them where I'm like, you are a Buddha, like you are, you know, so when I say that, I mean, we are a form of them, right? Because we are not fully enlightened, because we wouldn't even have any of that anymore. I just got the chills from spirit, right? So we're enlightened. We definitely have a purpose, and we were placed here strategically as pushpins all over the planet so that we can bring the energy, you know, back up to where it needs to be, so that shadow goes back down. It's not that we want the shadow to go away. It's never going to go away. It's part of us. We have to love that side of us. I have to love the narcissistic, controlling, bitchy, everything's got to be my way Kelly. Like I have to love her. I do love her. You know what I mean? Like she has made me who I am today. She has helped me survive some really horrific experiences in my lifetime. So I will never turn my back on her, and I will never ever, you know, I will apologize for any hurt I inflicted on another during that time, just as I, you know, and I ask forgiveness for those who I've ever, you know, inflicted any pain and suffering on, you know, but I forgive myself for it. So I can ask your forgiveness, but I don't need it to forgive myself, because I know that that was not really me. That was a hurt version of me. Just like there are people on this planet that want to put somebody in power out of pain and suffering, right? So what gave me hope was one of the people from the riots was this beautiful grandmother. She has breast cancer now. I don't remember her name. I watched a snippet of her video, and she said that she feels like she was almost like in a trance or a coma or something. You know, she's like, I look at that footage of myself, and she's like, and she started crying, and you could tell her crying was sincere. She's like, I'm embarrassed. Like I can't, like, I don't even know what happened. She's almost like it was an out of body experience. And I'm like, yeah, because when someone's really powerful, I'm not going to say he's not a magician. I would never fucking say he's not a magician. It takes a lot of power to get into that, but it also takes a lot of dark magic to get you into that power. That was built on the backs and the blood and the sweat and the tears and the rapes and the, you know what I mean, of a lot of good people. A lot of good people. I was fooled. When I used to watch his show, I was like, I may not like him, but I was like, as a business person, I could look outside of it and say, that was a good business choice. So he's right. I'm like, he's right. They, you know, sometimes, you know, you act with emotion, you snooze, you lose, you know, like, because coming from a business standpoint, I would agree when I would watch almost all the people he voted off or whatever on his show. You know, I mean, when I was watching some of his rallies, people holding up your fired signs, I'm like, oh my God, like it was like a clip from a TV show. You know what I mean? Like, fucking move on. Like, even that, like, it was staged. It was staged. I'm not saying that he wasn't a businessman and didn't teach people or whatever, but like, come on. You know what I mean? It's like, I worked in television. That's the other beautiful luxury I have is I went to LA at 23 to be a star. But what I did was become who I became, who I are, right? Like I became who I was meant to be, like be who you are. And I started to realize that being myself was not going to get me in a movie. Being the weight that felt comfortable to me was considered fat. And I was like, I feel beautiful and sexy. I'm like, but they're like, yeah, no, you could be the cute fat girl next door. And I was like, what? You know, I mean, I allowed that energy to chip away at my fucking self-esteem. Between my family and everywhere I grew up and then being in that world, I was like, the beautiful light that I am, it was almost like I didn't stand a chance. I really didn't stand a chance, but I needed to do that. I needed to go through all that. I needed to get ill. I needed to have an abortion. I needed to go through all these things so that I can feel the pain and suffering. I had to lose a child. I had to know what that felt like, so that I can really understand and not just be an empath, but like really hold the empathy of my own human experience through that. There is so much going on. I just watched Erin Brockovich again. I hadn't seen it in years, and it was like just so wild to me because I don't do this a lot, but it's just what happened to me. So I'm like, this is how it is living in Los Angeles for a long time. So I worked at this job where a lot of celebrities would come in, but it was a really high-end steakhouse. So it wasn't like we just had like random people. We had a lot of really big famous people, from Priscilla Presley to the whole entire band. Korn came in one day, and I wasn't into them, but they were so famous at the time. You know, like just stuff like that, right? I met Charmaine Carr, who played Liesel in The Sound of Music. Like it was my divine pleasure to actually like wait on her while she was going through, you know, MS. And Annette Funicello too, like was another one, like, or no, Annette Funicello was going through MS, and she was like, I was like her regular person, like she knew me by name, you know, and then, you know, to have, Charmaine Carr, who Sound of Music was like my favorite movie. I'm like, Liesel, like 16 going on 17. I'm like, what? You know, but she had cancer, actually. Liesel did. And so it's just like Charmaine Carr. So it's just so many interesting things. And then like, but she was connected to Christopher Plummer, who I have the same birthday with, and who I based one of my characters in my novel series on. You know what I mean? It's just like, we're all so connected. But the thing that really like, I remembered about this particular restaurant, all those things happened there, so many other things, but two massive things happened. One, Erin Brockovich was being filmed during the time that I worked at this restaurant, and my manager said, there's this actor that, he goes, I can't remember his name. He's like, he's super famous, he's really old, he's British. And I was like, okay. And he's like, he keeps coming in here. And he's like, I told him, or he came in once or twice, and when I told him that you weren't working, he left. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah. And so he said, well, it's unfortunate, he said, because his days off are the days that I wasn't working. So I didn't know this, but my manager had told him that on certain Mondays I worked, because the restaurant that I worked in was owned by the Gallo family. And it was very famous. And the two guys, that Jack Mandato and Charlie Gallo, like they were these really powerful men at the time. And they owned this restaurant, and they, every Monday, unless something, whatever, but every Monday they would have, they called it the Soprano Night, because all of their gangster buddies, well, they don't like to be called that, but I love them. They were really good people. They did a lot for a lot of people. And they would say that they weren't, but okay. And, but they would come together on Monday nights, and we would do family style dinners. Everybody wanted to work that night because they didn't pay for anything, but all the guys would leave money. So you could work like 3-4 hours and make hundreds of dollars, because they know that we were there just for them. Sometimes I would come in on my day off just to wait on them. I wouldn't even wait tables or bartend for the rest of the night. I would just wait on them. So this one night, or this one day that I came, or I went to work, my manager said, hey, that guy, I told that guy that you're working this Monday. He's like, I don't know if he'll show up, you know? And I said, okay. So I'm cleaning up. There's like 2 people left in the restaurant. I'm like, I don't think he's going to show. And he's like, yeah, I don't think so either. And all of a sudden he comes storming in, and he's like, not right after, but like soon after, he comes storming in, and he goes, it was like 8:30 on a Monday. We're like getting ready to close. We're fine dining. It was like you know, we were open more as like a courtesy, you know, because the boys were there. And then like we would like kind of keep it open for a few hours after that, just to make money basically. Well, because they're going to be there anyway. And so, long story short, Albert Finney comes fucking barreling through the doors, and he's like, am I too late? And I went, oh, I'm like, oh my God. And I couldn't remember his name either, but I knew who he was. And I was like, oh my gosh. And he's like, oh, he's like, you must be Kelly. That's when I was still going by Kelly. And he's like, he like saw my manager, but then it was like he walked in, and then he like pivoted into the dining room, and he like looked right at me, and I was like cleaning up a table, and I'm like, because at first I was like, well, I hope he doesn't show up now. I'm like, because I had been there since like 4 setting up for the guys, and it was my day off, and I was like, I really didn't, you know, whatever. But it was the greatest gift, one of the greatest gifts I was ever given, because I got to wait on Albert Finney while he was making Erin Brockovich. So he would tell me about like the movie and the story, not too much because, you know, he's not allowed to, but he would like say, oh, today was, you know, a good film day, or because at one point I said, can you tell me who you're filming with? And he's like, I can. He's like, I can tell you that. He's like, and he talks like this because he plays Ed Masry. He plays like the main lawyer guy. And he said, my buddy, and he said his name, and I was like, oh my God. He goes, I go, yeah, he comes in here with his son all the time. He goes, yeah, he's one of my best friends. And he told me that I had to come in here and try this food, but that you're like the best server in the world, and I had to have you. And I was like, oh, I'm like, that's so nice. I'm like, that's so cool. But I waited on him 2 times, I think, or 3. I don't remember. 2 for sure, 2 that I remember vividly. But I feel like he came in a 3rd time, but I don't remember. It was so long ago. And he was coming in while he was shooting the movie. So he was like, I work with Julia Roberts today. And I was like, oh, that's so crazy. And then I was telling him this story about this other thing where I was when she went, you know, I'm like, I was like, oh, that's kind of wild. And he's like, why? And I said, because I, you know, worked with her stylist, like, I said, I worked at this vet, you know, place with her stylist, or it was her stylist Bengal cat or whatever. And I was like telling him the story, and he's like, that's kind of crazy, right? And I'm like, yeah. I go, but that's how we're all connected. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, and that it was just, I started to like see certain things, but he was really special. And he was telling me, like, I said, I go, I feel like a jerk. I don't know all the movies you were in. And I forget the name of it now, but he said this movie with Audrey Hepburn. And I was like, I'm like, you did a movie with Audrey Hepburn? He's like, I did. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, so we would just have these great discussions. So the first night was just like getting to know each other. And then the bartender was like a buddy of mine, and we wanted to go out drinking. So the manager's like, well, I'm going to go. And so she's like, dude, I've got so much work to do. And she had to do inventory and all that. So I just let him stay. And there was a point where it was like, I was just like sitting down with him and like drinking wine. And he was like, telling me stories and stuff. Like, it was so fucking cool. But that's like how my life was. You know, it was very interesting. And then, because I can't, what I believe happened, because I feel like I waited on him twice, but then the 3rd time he came to visit me when he was leaving, but he didn't have time. He wanted to eat, but he gave me a cigar. And oh no, it might have been that night. I don't know, but anyway, he just tipped me like obnoxiously, like in the most beautiful way. And then he gave me, I forget the cigar at the time. It was like one of the most famous cigars, and he said, I want you to take that money, and I want you to buy yourself the best bottle of wine. And he's like, and I want you to sit in your magical backyard that you told me about. Because I was telling him, like, my backyard. I was like, oh, I love Paris. I love France. I hadn't been there yet at that time. And I was just like, oh, my whole backyard looks like, you know, it's like twinkle lights, and it's really magical. And I have a chimenea, and, you know, I lived in LA, and I was just telling him, you know, about it. And he's like, I want you to go sit in that magical backyard of yours, and I want you to smoke this cigar. I want this to be your first cigar, and I want you to smoke it and take that money. And he's like, and promise me you won't use that money on bills. He's like, I gave it to you because I really want you to go and buy a really nice bottle. And I was like, okay. And I did. I think I got Opus One or something crazy at the time. Or no, I think I got a 1997 Stag's Leap, because that's what was really big at the time. Yeah, and so that's how my magical life was. And I started to like realize like just how connected we all were. And so when I was watching Erin Brockovich again, I was like having the memories of that, but then also watching it and how that was a true story about how, you know, she saved all these people from Hinckley, and how, like, if you haven't seen Erin Brockovich, you need to watch it. That really happened. It was based on a true story. And I worked in politics, and I also worked whenever people had asked me what I did in politics, I'm like, I was Aaron Brockovich. That's exactly what I did. I'm like, I went to people's homes. I'm like, I knew who was, struggling with this. And when, I was working with this thing. And so, it's been, Spirit put me in this life college, in this life school, so I can share all my experiences with you. To my blood and bone and like my friends, I was a fuck up. I was a loser. I couldn't stay in a job for more than a few years. Why do you move so much? And I was like, but I always knew I was meant to go here, or I'd meet this person, or I was led to this job, or I can't tell you how many jobs I was handed on the spot. I went into give them that restaurant, and that restaurant, I literally like heard about it, that it had opened. And I went in there dressed up with my resume because I knew better. You never go into a restaurant when it's open. You want to go like an hour before. They're usually setting up, but you never want to go when they're, in service ever. They're too busy. And so I showed up and dressed to the nines. I had a really great resume. At that point, I'd worked at like Planet Hollywood for almost 2 years and worked with celebrities, so I wasn't concerned about that. I'd worked in fine dining. I'd worked, you know what I mean? Like I'd run the gamut. My first job between helping my dad and working at Outback Steakhouse, right? It's like I worked at some chains, so like I had some experience, and I just went in and said, I introduced myself to the manager, and I was like, hi, my name is blah, 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 and that was it. And he was like, oh, I really like you. And he's like, well, I'm going to call on your references and stuff. And then I would always get hired. So a lot of times you can get the job just by like presenting yourself and going in and saying, I've wanted jobs where I'm like, I'll work for free. I want to do this job. Can I work for free? Until I get good at it, and then you can pay me. You don't even have to pay me. I've done that and went from that to $30 an hour. You know what I mean? Like you never know. And so I realized that this whole time and all of this stuff, that everything that I've been through, the Lionsgate portal was showing me that I needed to go through every single solitary experience to this moment, to even share this with you, to know that like I have no fear anymore. And I don't, of course I'll always get certain people, I still get starstruck. You can't help it. Like if Cher or like Dolly or like certain ones like that, like, Cindy, like, I mean, I can go on and on. There's so many Bette Midler. There's so many people like that I would probably start crying because I'm like, I love it so much, But Adele, Billie Eilish, like I literally can run the gamut. Lionel Richie, to people who molded and inspired me as an artist, but then also to all of you. Thank you for following and subscribing and liking and sharing and putting us on the map. We are growing in numbers, you guys. Like we are growing in numbers. It's not an accident that during the 888 portal, I don't know where it is now, but right now in this moment, there's 879 subscribers on this channel. I said to Spirit, I'm like, are you going to be cute and give me 888 before you leave? I hope so. Let's bring it there. So if you can, subscribe. Please subscribe or share my info and rally. Well, actually, you know what? Whatever's meant to be is meant to be. But that's old programming too, right? Like, I don't want to be like that. I want to be real and genuine and sincere, but I really want people to do what they want to do. I don't want to force people. I did for a long period of time, and I got really fucking good at it. Speaking of, Witch came out, and I want to read this to you. So, those of you who are familiar with Florence and the Machine, they're one of my favorite groups of all times. Florence is, I don't even know how to describe her because she's so magical. But I want to read you this song. Okay, so here are the lyrics to Witch, W-H-I-C-H, Witch, W-I-T-C-H. And it's my whole heart, weighed and measured inside, and it's an old scar, trying to bleach it out. And it's my whole heart, deemed and delivered a crime. I'm on trial, waiting till the beat comes out. Who's a heretic now? Am I making sense? How can you make it stick? Waiting till the beat comes out. Who's a heretic, child? Can you make it stick now? And I'm on trial, waiting till the beat comes out. I'm miles away. He's on my mind. I'm getting tired of crawling all the way. And I've had enough. It's obvious. And I'm getting tired of crawling all the way. Crawling all the way. And then it's a song. So she says, I'm not beat up by this yet. You can't tell me to regret. Been in the dark since the day we met. Fire, help me to forget. Ooh, I feel like I want to burn some cedar on that. Oh my gosh. But I'll put a link below for the song for you to listen. Thank you, Spirit. Ooh. Fire, help me to forget. I'm not beat up by this yet. You can't tell me to regret. I've been in the dark since the day we met. Fire, help me to forget, right? Help me to burn it away. Help me to burn it away. We want to burn it away. You know what's interesting is they had me pull this piece of cedar. I have so many beautiful pieces of cedar in there. And this one was one that fell in the candle. And it's interesting because it's got wax on it. And so right now I'm smelling cedar and burning wax. But I feel like that's what they want to show, like the darkness, right? So like I'm going to go in from this side. And I'm going to burn the real fresh cedar because we're going to burn away that. We're going to burn away that toxicity, that toxicity, that smell, spirit. All you have to say is, I accept this healing. We are cleansing our energy field, our auric field. We are cleansing this energy with cedar, with love, with hope. And yeah, they're having me go in this almost like a form of a cross, but it's not like for Jesus, right? It's like as above, so below, east, north, south, west, right? It's like this is what we are. We are the healers. We are the magicians and the healers and the deep down believers in magic and earth magic. And we are rising because they put us down, because everything, you can go on and on. There are so many things that they held us down and held us down and held us down till we were almost drowning. But we're not drowning anymore. We are fully awake. We are not trying to communicate through glass or water. We are communicating through these screens. The internet's just as powerful for the light as it is in the shadow, right? Of course it is. That's how we are seeing all the ugliness. So I ask you, President Trump, would you pardon Adolf Hitler? There's no such thing as pardoning or saying this person gets out of jail free card. He's like, well, with the cops, he's like, sometimes it's an accident. It's like, yes, that's why it's called manslaughter. You're trained to not be trigger happy. You're trained to not shoot first. If you're shooting first, you shouldn't be a cop. If you're like, oh, bullets are whizzing past me, blah, blah, blah. It's a war. People like him put those weapons in people's hands. I was also drawn to watch this thing about porch theft. I was like, what? I didn't even realize this was such a big thing. That people were going through and stealing off people's porches. What has happened? Have we lost our common decency and our humanness? Have we lost, No, we haven't. It's still in us. And those who are pushing it down with the darkness, they need it more than anything. They need our love. They need our compassion. They need our light. I needed to see that there were two grandmothers, one that worships him and has pictures with altars all over her house like he is a god, and one that says he was a false god. I don't know what I was doing. She's like, now I have to leave my family and my grandchildren. I will forever have this on my record. And she's like, but we forgive her, right? Just like I forgive the other lady too, who's still like worshiping him. Right? Like my eyes are like, how can she, right? But at the same time, I'm not her. I haven't been through her life. I haven't been through her pain. I haven't been through her suffering. I have no idea what her life is like. I don't know. All I can do is love her and send her compassion. That's literally all I can do. Because that's what I'd want for myself. I've been in the shadow. I wanted compassion. Nobody gave me compassion and love. I had to find it for myself. Or they gave it to me, but it had attachments to it. I'll love you if. I'll be your friend if. I'll support you if. I'll help you if. Recently, I had something like that happen from somebody who I've given so many chances over 2 years. And after all of our discussions, after all of our talks, after I really thought we were past this, they did it to me again. And I was like, you're done. You're done. I'm done. I'm not going to do this with you anymore. I'm not going to have this conversation with you. I'm not going to allow you to attack me anymore. I'm not going to allow you to bully me anymore. I don't want to feel fear in my own home. because somebody just wants to, just whenever they feel like it, just like show up, even though I've asked them many times not to do that. People have to respect boundaries. That is the one thing that has been shredded, is the boundaries. You know, it's like you can still love and care for somebody, but say, you know what? No, I'm done for today. Tomorrow, you need to find somebody else to fill that void for you. You know what I mean? Like, because the truth is, if you're having any voids at all, they need to be filled by you. Nobody else can do that. It took me 50 years to like really understand that, to like really truly understand that. And I hope it doesn't take you as long. I hope it takes you a millisecond. I hope, you know what I mean? But I'm talking with love in my heart, but I'm also talking with true rapture of like what is happening on the planet, and that it cannot be ignored. It cannot be denied. And that's what people are saying. One of the things that happened to me, they were like, I won't be ignored. I'm going to, the threats, I was like, oh my gosh. What? You're going to threaten me for that? What are you, have you lost your mind? But they have, people have. And when people are lonely and people are sad and people are miserable, they want company. Misery loves company. Don't give it to them. Don't feed into it. So she says, I'm not beat up by this yet. You can tell me to regret. Been in the dark since we met. Fire helped me to forget. And it's my whole heart. While tried and tested, it's mine. And it's my whole heart. Trying to reach it out. And it's my whole heart, burned, but not buried this time, right? Like, he scorched me, that hurt, and I was just like, oh my gosh, okay, you know what? I've tried to love you. I've tried to be your friend, but like, you don't care about me. Like, you don't care what's happening to me. Like, you know, and when I say to somebody, you've crossed this boundary, and they say, I don't care, that's when I'm like, you're done. If someone says to me, I don't care how you feel, I don't care what happens to you, I don't care, blah, 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 that is a massive red flag. What I had to learn was to stop saying I or we. And that was beaten out of me by a very beautiful boss who was very well read and was an English major. And he would read some of my reports and he'd be like, this isn't about you. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I. And I'm like, well, I did the report. And he's like, you can just say the report. Blah, blah, blah. And it was like, it took me, I was like, oh, I didn't understand, you know? Like I said, but we have to teach each other and be open to be teaching, to be taught, and be open to be wrong. Be open, have our hearts open to just to love and not take it as like a slight or, you know what I mean? Or like some misdemeanor on your spiritual record. It's like, no, it's like, there's no spirit. Yes, there's an Akashic record and they're definitely keeping score. Karma has got her job to do, but it's not like I was getting this vibe from spirit that like I was going way too literal through the third dimensional of it. And when I watched this reading that's been coming in my orbit for months, when I watched it again, I was like, or I never watched it, but when I watched it, I actually fell asleep while I was watching, which is kind of funny because I ended up having these really wild, I went into subconscious city in my dream state and I was like worked through so much stuff, but it was really powerful. But it clicked with me when she was like, you don't have to be perfect here. No one's expecting that from you. So fellow light workers and starseeds, like, you don't have to be perfect. None of us are perfect. We're not supposed to be. And even wherever we come from in the outer realms, there's no such thing as perfection. It's a man-made construct. Everything is perfect as it is. That's the only thing that's perfect, is the imperfections of it all. And that it's this growing, learning, blissful state of grace and gratitude and fumbling through with laughter and not like, oh, you know, because we've been taught to feel shame and feel like we're not good enough, or it's all bullshit. It's all fucking bullshit. And I listened to the rhetoric too. So many of us did. I drank the Kool-Aid. You know, that's why I put if you look on Lula's life, I know that some people think some of the stuff I put up is sacrilegious. It kind of is. And in some ways I can see that, but it's really because they want us to, yes, there's a lot of deep gratitude and seriousness behind our biblical scriptures. You know what I mean? Like, of course they were put there in place for a reason, whether it's the Quran or the ketubah or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, well, I know what the ketubah is, but it's a marriage thing, but you know what I mean? It's like, but any type of contracts or like these kind of things, that these teachings or whatever, like they all have a place, yes, but it's not supposed to be taken like to the literal, you know, of it. Some stuff is metaphorical. Some stuff did actually happen. Some things, you know, and that's the beauty and the magic of Earth. by saying it's not that is taking away the magic. And that's this control thing that we've been under. And that's why this snake is here. And why we have the dragon, because dragons are like, boom, boom. Dragons have no ego. So this is the year to drop our ego. That's what the dragons are here to tell us, right? Just like the Lionsgate portal. It's called the Lionsgate portal because it happens during the time, like when Sirius aligns with the planet Earth and the sun, and this gateway happens, it's because it's happening during Leo season. But we need it, right? Because we need some ego to survive. We just can't let our ego control us. That's not how we thrive. There's survival and there's thriving. And I realized through the trauma bonding, the conversations yesterday, my partner and I had this really great conversation about it, you know, the trauma bonding thing. And I was like, I've just been having all these aha moments, and like why these people are siding with Trump and all this, and like, and why people are going for Kamala and Waltz, because people are following the light right now. They're following the love and the sunshine. That earlier I was talking about Kennedy. I like Kennedy. I do think he's trying, but he kind of reminds me of Bush in a way, like that. Like, I didn't not like Bush Jr., George Bush Jr. Like, it's not that I didn't like him, but I could feel his good old boy energy. Like, I could just feel it, you know, like he didn't really want to get into politics, but as far, that's what I kind of feel like with Kennedy. I feel like he wants to help, but there's like, when he was telling this story about this prank that he did with this bear, I was like, the thing is, as a telepathic medium, when people are really open, I can kind of see what really happened. And so I think there's some truth to his story, but I think some of it too is he thinks it was funny. It was a prank. I think he thought it was going to be funny. I don't know if you ever thought he was going to run for president or whatever, but you know, people do and say stupid shit, and rich people think they're going to get away with things. I have worked for, waited on, and with the very, 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 very wealthy people, beyond any money I had ever experienced in my childhood, that people I thought had money. You know, like there's a whole different spectrum. There's a whole different thing like going on with people who have so much money that they don't think the rules apply to them, like our former president. And that's any president, that's any elected official. If you think that you are above any rules, then you are not deemed fit to be an elected official, period, end of story, sentence, done. So at the beginning, I started to talk about this, and this is where we're rounding it out before the cards. So those of you who've been with me a long time, I said, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Kamala is going to become the president while Biden is in office. I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know if something's going to happen to him. I don't know. But I'm like, I have this really strong feeling something is going to happen and she's going to take over. So when this happened, I said, when they were talking about, you know, I watched the debate, a little bit of the debate with him and Trump when it happened. And I was like, this is, I literally, I was like, I felt like I was watching two children try and fight. And I like on the playground. You know, and I was like, I'm not going to do this. And nothing against either one of them. It was just like, I know they were both doing the best they could. And you know, it's like you're dealing with somebody who's so, you know, whatever, like, I get it. And some people, when certain people go high, they go low. And it's like, but when someone goes high, we need to, you know, stay in the high and don't go low. So anyway, long story short, I said, I don't think he's well. I'm like, I don't think he's been well for a long time. I'm like, I bet you something's going to happen. And I was like, oh, and I even did I even created a shorts on it. I'm like, if they wanted to have the perfect ticket, they would have Kamala and Kennedy. I'm like, if they wanted the perfect ticket, you know, instead of dividing, bring them together. And then those two against, I'm like, because if you start dividing the votes, that's when it starts to get kind of fucked up. So it was very, very interesting, but she chose Waltz. But then the more I started researching Waltz and watching his videos, I love him so much. And I think he's really genuinely like more of what, you know, somebody who was a teacher, I have a higher, you know, respect for in that way. I don't know anything about Kennedy. I saw that one thing and I was done. I was kind of like, I've heard enough about him, whatever. Because no matter if he was a teacher or not, he still comes from the Kennedys. So end of story. You're what we call American royalty. So you know what I mean? It's like there's only so much you can say of like the reality that was going on in his world, because his reality and the everyday person's reality is not the same. Period. I know it. I've been to people's homes where I'm like, holy fuck, these people live like this. Like, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just normal. Oh yeah, that's where the maids' quarters are. That's, you know what I mean? It's like, that's a whole different ballgame. I grew up in the south side of Chicago. My parents were upper middle class, blue collared. You know what I mean? Big fucking difference. And I'm like, they got my vote. They got my vote, and I don't need to look any further. I feel this. I feel this with every fiber of my being, because I feel like it needs to shift and it needs to change, and it's not going to change overnight. And as much as I believe that at one point in my lifetime we may see a universal political system where we have like a leader of the world, I that may happen in my lifetime. I feel like that's going to happen in the next 30 years, but you got to start somewhere. And I believe these two people went into politics for the right reason. And it doesn't matter that they carry a title. That's what it feels like to me. Whatever feels like right to you, you know, you do what's right for you. But I feel like this is the turning of the tide. And it was like when Barack came in, and it was like, he wasn't totally white, he wasn't totally black, he wasn't totally, you know what I mean? It was like this kind of like, you know, so people, because people want to identify with themselves in the person that they're voting for. They're an extension of themselves. So there must be some type of connection. So some people will bond with her on just being a woman. Some people will bond on her with her background. Some people will bond on her with being, having no children but adopted children. You know what I mean? Like there's so many. Everybody is going to bond. I've watched it. I've worked in when Dan Lundgren was running for governor. I can't think of his name right now. He ended up winning. But anyway, I remember working at that rally, and you know what I mean? Like I just, with my friends, and like just all the things that go through the back of it, the things that they do to trigger people, the alcohol and the food, and just like all the fucking shit, the signs, there's so many things that people that are put in there that are subliminal, and it's just unbelievable, because the human mind is this vast construct of awesomeness, and it can take on so much and can do so much. You guys know, before this channel was the Magical Medium, it was Lula's Labyrinth, because my brain is like that. It's like, you know, and we're all like that as human beings. Like we really can do so much. We are so powerful. We've barely scratched the surface, and now we're understanding that we've been under this thumb and this regime of bullshit that we're like, fuck you, man. We're all like, no, we want love, man. We want happiness. We want joy. We want to be like, help your neighbor, man. That's why he said, you know, the governor of Minnesota, everybody loves him because he is that guy. Talk the talk. Fucking, you think Trump's gonna get out of his fucking car and help you? He's gonna have somebody else. Let's just put it like this. If he's traveling in a vehicle, now I get that he would be Secret Service and all this stuff, but let's just talk about just a regular day. Do you really think he's going to get out of the car and help you change your tire? Or do you think he's going to have one of his people, one of his lackeys, he thinks of himself as an emperor or king. He's not going to do that. Because to him, he was raised to believe that would be beneath him. But that's not what it is. A true leader leads by example. A leader fucking rolls up his sleeves, unless he can't, right? But he rolls up they roll up their sleeves and they fucking dive in and they do the work. They don't pass the buck. They don't fucking, you know what I mean? No. Even though it's a known fact that he's had all these businesses that went into bankruptcy, and it's like, even though these people know all these things about him, they're like so brainwashed. And this lady was crying hysterically because she's like, I literally was brainwashed. It's a cult. She's like, it is a cult. And I'm like, it's cultish behavior, but no, it's you can call it a cult, but what it is it's just a group of people who are suffering and are miserable and are so sad, and we must send them love, and we must pray for them, for their higher selves. I need water. Whenever I start, because I'm like, I need to get off my soapbox a little bit too. I've just seen too much, you know. I've seen too much. I've also traveled, and I've witnessed what a third world country really is when they speak of that term. I've witnessed children filthy with barely any clothes on them, with no shoes, begging for money and food, and you can't even. My heart was sick. I couldn't even leave. I couldn't leave the building that I was staying in because my heart was. And then when I did leave, it's because I went to the bank and was like, I want $101 bills, you know, when I went to exchange my money. And they were like, okay, you know, and I was like passing them out. Every little kid that gave me chiclets, I was passing out dollars. It was in Mexico, and I was passing out dollars, you know. Mexico City was horrific, but also in some of these like really like touristy towns, like, gosh, where did we go? I don't remember anymore, but it was Acapulco. Would you go to Acapulco? Yeah, I think that's where it was. But I've also been all up and down the Baja Peninsula. I mean, I've just seen things, you know, and then like driving on the freeway, you have to pay like all this money, and they call it the green highway because there's men with machine guns on holding on to a truck ready to help you if you need it, because you could be attacked at any moment and by the banditos. Like, I was like, wow, this is wow. You know, I mean, talk about my sheltered, like, little Midwestern American, blonde, blue-eyed, white American girl, like, having understanding. Like, if I didn't understand my white privilege, or I didn't understand who or what I was, I did then. Everybody treated me differently. And the interesting thing was when I was in Mexico, I was not, the only way I was revered is when I was in, like, the fancy places with the rich people. But even then, I wasn't, because I could speak Spanish, but I wasn't secure enough to, you know, towards the end of my trip, I started to become more fluent, but I can understand it. I understood it, like, almost fluently. And so, and definitely, you know, key words, I would know what they were talking about. And it was a surreal experience, but I needed to have it. And I also needed to be taken down a few pegs. And, you know, I wanted to go and venture off by myself, and they all laughed at me. And I was like, what are you talking about? And at the time I was like 25. So I looked like this, but I was 25. And they were like, we will never see you again. I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, you are in Mexico City. What we just told you. You are blonde, blue-eyed, white American, 25-year-old. He's like, you are like, you would go for millions of dollars on the black market as a sex slave. And I was like, shut the fuck up. They're like, you think we're kidding? We're not. They're like, I literally couldn't go anywhere by myself. I felt like a prisoner. I couldn't wait to get out of there. I even in the mall, I couldn't even walk around the fancy mall by myself in Mexico City. Like, I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't go anywhere by myself. It was surreal. And it was a very eye-opening experience. So, you know, it's time for everybody to take the blinders off and understand what We Are One really means, and that it's beautiful and cool. Like, we've co-created this, you know, we've co-created the universe, and we've co-created this beautiful teaching planet. But don't get it twisted. Don't get caught up in the game. Don't get caught up in the matrix. Don't get caught up in that old bullshit. Because once people start to really understand, and they start to see the magic happening in their lives, if things aren't going your way, or money or whatever, and it's because you are still stuck in a matrix of some kind, or a loop that you were meant to get out of, a comfort zone you were meant to step out of. You know what I mean? There is a time and a place. There's a place for us, right? But it's more than that. It's like we witches, like, we deserve to be here. We were some of the founding members of this planet, so we deserve to be here. We're not just the founding members of a country or a town or whatever. Like, we were founding members of this planet. We helped co-create this planet. We helped, you know, like, we're here to be teachers. We're here to learn. We're here to have these experiences. With great strength comes great responsibility. And if you don't go through the experience yourself, how are you ever going to show, or, you know what I mean? It's just not going to happen that way. You have to, you know, you have to go through it. So the last, no, there's two more. So it says, I'm not beat up by this yet, because it's like keeps going, right? You can't tell me to regret. Been in the dark since the day we met. Fire, help me to forget. Chained and shackled. Oh, all that gravel. It's a pity, never to return, but I never learn. It's a pity. Oh, chained and shackled, all that gravel, it's a pity. Say I won't return, but I never learn. It's a pity. When I was going through my awakening, there were moments where I was like, I am never coming back to this fucking hellhole of a planet again. I'm like, this place is fucked up. I was like, the more loving and the more awake I got, the more angry I got, the more, and that's what's happening. It's like, so they're at like the end of that, and where a lot of us have gone through the dark night of the soul, or we're in it, or we're at the end of it, and so we're recognizing it. We're identifying if we're angry or upset, or if we're playing the victim, or making somebody else be responsible for our happiness or our truth, or, you know what I mean? It's like, that's time to really go inward, because we are in perfect control of our own lives. Even if someone is doing something against your will, how you respond to it is still your response. So it says chained and shackled, and we went through all that, and then it just keeps saying chained and shackled. Say I won't return, but I never learn. It's a pity. Which. And I also want to go through, I took a bunch of screenshots when we started this. So I got Still from Lionel Richie, and the title of the album is called Back to Front. So there's this really great song by Lionel Richie called Still. And he's like, all the games that people play, we made our mistakes along the way, to people. And he talks about like what has happened. And he's like, but at the end, he's like, I still love you. He's like, but I do love you still. Right? Because in the end, we still have to love ourselves. We have to love each other. That is the only way that we're getting out of here in the most loving, you know what I mean? It's if we want our world to be a place of love and respect and kindness, then we have to give love and respect and kindness, even when it's tough. That's when we need to do it the most. That's when it sucks and it's like, fuck, but that's when we need it the most, okay? So, also, Little Mermaid, Part of Your World came into my, and I feel like that's a lot of us. We're like, especially the mermaid energy, for a lot of us that identify with that. It's like we're like, we've been like trying to be part of this world for so long, and we've been trying to do it with love, and but look at Ursula comes in just like a trump. She's like, oh, I'll help you, Ariel. Sure, you wanna? She's like, just give me that. Yeah. Right. And she's like, yeah, give it to me, 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 give it to me. And then she has nothing left. She took her power. That was Ariel's power, was her voice. She can, you've watched Little Mermaid, and if you haven't, you should. Because it's such a great metaphor for everything that's happening, right? She's like, I want to have legs so I can walk in your world. But in a perfect world, she's like, no, I want to be able to swim and have my fins when I'm in the water. But I also want to be able to, like, have legs when I come out here, But it's like the balance of both worlds. And that's a metaphor for you to decide on your own. But it was Lionel Richie. These are like a bunch of songs I've been working with, but they asked me to do a screenshot of this and I didn't understand, but now I don't know either, so it's kind of fun. So there it was, You Are from Lionel Richie, like, you are the sun, you are the rain, right? That makes my life this foolish game. You need to know I love you so, and I do it all again and again, right? Whoa. It's kind of like the Witch, right? But it's in like the lightheartedness. But like where Florence is just like you did this to me, you did that, like you dragged me through the gravel, like I still fucking like, you know what I mean? Like we are here as witches, we're trying to help this place, and you're still gonna fucking hang us from trees and burn us alive. And she's like, what the fuck, man? Like there's a lot of artists out there like Gypsy and Dreams and stuff from Stevie and Fleetwood Mac. I mean, ABBA, like you can go on and on and on and on for all these light workers. Fucking Earth, Wind and Fire, man. Listen to Fantasy by Earth, Wind and Fire, right? Like in our ship fantasize, right? Like because we're coming to like, it's like they've been telling us forever they're transformers, like we come in peace, right? But then they make a movie where they're evil because they want them to know there are evil aliens out there. There are, but there, for as many that are coming in shadow, like 50 million more are coming in light. And that's what they're saying is like, because even the shadow wants to be balanced, right? Like they need to, it's like you can talk to somebody who can be one dark motherfucker, but you can say something and make them laugh and you see their light when they laugh, right? Because it's funny. It was a funny joke. That means that there's still love inside of there. When there's that like Michael Myers and there's nothing in there, there is pure evil. There is pure darkness. Absolutely. It's been created. Absolutely. I'm not going to say it's not true. I've seen it. I've seen it in person. I have been thrown by demons. I have physically been accosted by darkness. But I am telling you right now, even the darkest of the dark wants love too. So, the next song is Hello. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I could see it in your eyes, right? Like, because they're begging for love. And so when somebody's dark, have you ever seen, like, I was watching, like, this Hallmark movie that I was talking about, and the woman's just like, nope, like, there's nothing, and he's like, no, look at us, blah, 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 we're having such a good time. She's like, yeah, on vacation. She's like, but what about the real world? And he's like, then we need to change it. She's like, oh, yeah, but because she's just in doubt. And he's like, and you see that sadness in his eyes, because he's trying to be vulnerable, but he's like, okay, well, if you don't think there's any more love for me, he's like, then I guess it's over. But you can see he's like, no, he wants to, but he's afraid to fight. It's like, why are we so afraid to just be loved and to love? And you can love without expecting love in return. You can still love without expecting love in return. You don't need it. I mean, we all need love to survive, but do you know what I'm saying? It's like the love that you're looking for is inside. everybody else. It's great when everyone else loves you, right? But if you love yourself, that's really all that matters. I understand that now. And then, still that one by Lionel Richie. Then it was Martina McBride. Who would you be? Who would you be? I don't remember the words. But basically she's saying, like, if you could be anything you wanted to be, who would you be? Stop making excuses. Stop saying this person's holding you back or that's holding you back. You can do anything you want to do. Take one small step today. If you're watching this right now, if you've held on this long, you are a warrior, right? Like, you are a warrior. I've been doing a lot of research. Most people don't last more than 15 minutes on these things. So people who, like, I'm like, you're a warrior. You are a warrior. Even if you watch it in small bites and come back, like, you're still a warrior. If you're like still, like, if you're involved in this healing, like, you understand. You understand. So it's time for you to be who you are and really live it in every breath and every fiber of your being. Do you know, in my 30s, I was made fun of for still wearing t-shirts like this, and my family's like, when are you going to grow up? Because I'd show up in something like this, and and I'm like, I am. I'm like, I love my outfit. You know what I mean? They're like, you're like a little kid who, like, dressed themselves in the dark. I'm like, I don't fucking care. I'm like, I love my outfit. I feel happy. Who fucking cares? Like, who cares? It's just like, it took me so long to just be like, and just their comments where I'm like, is it because you're afraid and you take the outfit that's off the fucking mannequin in the store? I mean, I'm probably one of the people who put that outfit on there. I used to be a wardrobe stylist, and I did stuff like that, and I did all the mannequins for windows, and it's like, but I'm appealing to the masses. I would have windows where my boss would be like, no, you need to go a little more conservative or whatever. That's when I was like, oh, I shouldn't work here then. I need to work in a place where people would think this outfit is awesome. You know what I mean? So it's like, pick your battles too. Like, where are you putting your energy? Your home, your work, your family, your friends, your anywhere. Like, where you're living. Like, where are you putting your energy? And the next one is Oh Holy Night. Fall on your knees. Oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Right? Like, we needed, it's like they took Jesus and commercialized him over and over for thousands of years. But he was a gift, wasn't he? And that's what someone was singing a song. I don't mind hearing, spiritual music. I sing spiritual music. I just did this video with Prince for I Would Die For You from the Purple Rain album, and it was this extended version. And I was like, oh yeah, because he did these versions like where he was actually writing for God and praising God. And when I went to Prince's concert, I was really upset actually, because I was very anti-religion at the time, and I was pissed actually. I was like, he has no fucking right to do this. I'm like, or at least warn your people and say, hey, just so you know, you can come to my concert. And because we paid a lot of money to go to his concert, and it was one of the last concerts he ever did. And long story short, I was frustrated. But now, like, as an artist, I'm like, I wouldn't want to be repressed. Like, if you don't like my stuff, don't come and listen to it. Don't, if you don't like what I have to say, that's okay, right? That's why there's so many of us, and we inspire each other. But it was very interesting to me. And but anyway, I worked through it, and now I felt like I had it in a different. Now I really enjoyed it. And now that Prince is gone, like, we talk all the time, and I understood what he was trying to say. Like, he wasn't trying to make it a religious, biblical thing. He was trying to say, like, he was talking about spirit and God, but like his version and like what he felt. But like in general, he was talking about spirit. So that's very interesting. And then, oh, I love this because I heard it through the grapevine. It is true. What did I say? Like, back in the day, we heard it through the grapevine. So a lot of things that you're seeing out on social media and things like that, it's about hearing it through the grapevine. So, really use discernment. It's been such a big word in the last few years because you need to discern and use your spidey sense and your intuition to fucking be your own bullshit barometer and say, this isn't, no, this feels wrong. Because it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just that if something feels wrong, it usually is. And so I feel like from spirit, it's like they're trying to get you to kind of see that, right? And Marvin Gaye, and I put next to it slow and bluesy because I was like, I want to do like my own version of that. But it is, right? It's like the grapevine, because the true grapevine is kind of slow and bluesy, right? If you hear the old blues, they're telling it like it is. I posted something recently in my shorts on Lula's life where she's talking about, I got nipples on my titties and blah, blah, blah. And she's talking about like we're, and talking about coming and sex and all that, because that's when they sang the blues, that's why they were banned, the old school blues, because they sang the blues. These people were getting fucking shit-faced and getting up there and like telling their stories. They were the first rap artists. You know what I mean? They were the first like real like storytellers, and that kind of realm that's still in our orbit. I'm saying, I mean, they've been throughout time, of course, different musicians and storytellers and artists and all that. But I'm saying like, and that kind of thing, and saying, oh, that's so gross, that's so offensive, and I'm like, no, she's telling it like it is. That's what her life was like for her. She's singing her story. She's telling her tale. Be who you are. Tell your story. Tell the tale. And then the next one is Bring It On Home to Me. Oh, if you ever change your mind about leaving me behind, oh, bring your sweet loving, bring it on home to me. Yeah, right? Oh, Otis. But this version was Michael Bublé's version. That I was like, I really liked that kind of vibey, whatever. So it's time to bring it home. Bring the love home first. Self-care summer. Anytime like something with my partner has been coming up lately where I'm like, are you ready to come home yet? Or how are you feeling? He's like, I'm in self-care summer, just like you said. I'm like, nope. Hey, I mean, Spirit put it out there for a reason. Whether people adhere to it or not. And summer's not over. We're in autumn. Summer doesn't end until the fall lady sings, which is in September, which is 3 weeks into September. For those who are like, oh, summer's almost over. Just because school's going back into, you know what I mean? It's like the summer is not over. We are in autumn. This is where we're like kind of like at the end of the summer. This is the time to really go inward and work with spirit. That's why it's creative, right? Like we're in that, and now with the Lionsgate portal, it's like when they leave, we're still going to have like 10 days of the Leo, where it's going to be the Leo moon and Leo before we switch to the earth energy of Virgo. So with that being said, I'm getting this really like strong energy from spirit for us to really take this time. Whenever you watch this, it's always timeless. But if you're in real time here, take some time to really work on what makes you happy. What brings joy and love to your heart. Like if you go outside and you're like, I love butterflies, and you love taking videos of butterflies, start a fucking YouTube channel and have it all be about butterflies. You'd be surprised how many people, people don't, that's what I love about YouTube, because I think like, people are watching us, Big Brother's everywhere, so fuck that. When people are like, I'm like, it's everywhere. So that's number one. Number two, it's like, no, I love the fact that it's not just social media. It's a real bona fide, it's like television. It's like having your own television. And we love that we have options. Before we only had CBS. When I was growing up as a kid, we had local channels, and then we had ABC, CBS, and NBC. That was it. Fox didn't come into play until I was in high school in the 80s. So yeah, it's been 40 years ago. Oh my God, that's so crazy to even think about that. But, almost 40 years ago. But it's true, I mean, actually, I think it started because Simpsons was one of the first shows. I used to have Simpson Fest at my house every week from all my friends. Like we would like party at my house because my mom like would be off with her boyfriend and I was in high school and we were like drinking and partying and stuff. And I would like literally like have people over. Those of you who still, are part of, I'm like, oh, I would love for you to come. But we used to have so much fun, but we were kind of crazy. But we loved it. Like the Simpsons was like the first thing like that. There was nothing like that. It was so cool. And it was taken off of something else. I forget what show it was, and it was a cartoon that they turned into like an actual The Simpsons. But Bart looked a lot different. He was a very rough version of him. And so, we've changed and evolved quite dramatically, even in just the 5 decades that I've been here, so it's really powerful. Okay, so then I don't know where we were, but the next one is The Show Must Go On, Moulin Rouge. The show must go on. The show must go on. So you're going to leave some people behind. You're going to, but the show must go on. Okay? And then the Elephant Love Medley. I love it. How wonderful life is. now that you're in the world. Right? Because you're in the world. Thank you. Because of your loving heart and you being in this world and on this planet, because you are here right now, the world is what it is, and it's magic and it's wonderful, and there's even the darkness, right? It's like, because there's villains and there's heroes and there's, but we will get to a point where the villains will be further and farther between, because we don't want to be a villain, and the villains won't want to be a villain either. All of us play villains and heroes in someone's story. That's just the way that it goes. But the last song is Broken Wings by Mr. Mister. And talk about my flashback from high school. I don't even remember how it goes. But I remember, they're going to have me look it up. But I remember, I'll do screenshots and I'll put in the community section. And if you're into it, always look in the community section. There's a lot of pearls in there, especially if there's more than one image, or click on like what I write or links or things like that. They're just more breadcrumbs to give you more. I'm giving you a lot. I know I'm giving you a lot today. We haven't even gotten to the cards yet. But, when we do these big, massive readings like this, I don't always do them like this. We're doing it because we are honoring the ancestors. We are honoring all of Sirius and all of those. The other thing I was going to say earlier that I had the breakthrough was, somebody, I'm like, when they say when your nose is itching, somebody's talking about you. They want me to show two things. So I got this vibe from Spirit that I've lived on all of them. Like, I've been an Arcturian, I've been a Palladian, I've been a Syrian, I've been a Lyrian. Like, I've had different experiences. Oh, look at my nose, just got all red. Like, I've had all these different experiences. I feel like this is for somebody. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I understand. Spirit says you need to stop drinking. When I used to drink a lot, my nose used to get really red. You guys saw it wasn't red a minute ago, and I just blew my nose in it. They wanted me to show you that because I feel like for some of you, that like the drinking just doesn't work for you, or you're in an orbit of people who are drinking and it just lowers the vibration. It just will lower your energy field, period. It just, even if people are in a high vibration and they're drinking, it's like, unless you're like in a group of people, because most people, oh my gosh, I won't stop. Most people who are drinking a lot, they're drinking to cover something up or hide something. I'm speaking from personal experience, you guys. I'm telling you. I feel like they're saying it's something you can't fix with the other person, but you can fix it in yourself. So this came up in one of the Pika readings, and I believe it might have been the fairy one. I think it was Feather 3. So if you haven't, you may be drawn to it. But if you're not, don't make it your medicine. But I did a screenshot of this too, so you can go and look at it. So you don't even have to look at the reading. But this came into my orbit, and it's really cool, this vintage piece. And it's Peace. P-E-A-C-E. Drink some water. Stay hydrated. And take it slow. Take it easy. And it says, peace. Pure as the angels who sing to her soul, ethereal notes of melodious strain, are the thoughts by this maiden held in control, courageously welded in unbroken chain. It makes me think of Erasure. Chains of love, right? Together we'll break these chains of love, right? Don't give up. Don't give up. And maybe start a channel where you're bringing fun. Maybe you like to dance. I just did one the other day, and I just did a new dance video today, with the I Would Die For You, because I was dancing, I was like, and I was like having this great moment, and I just heard, do a video, and I hear these kind of things all the time. And even that, with that song, I'm like, how did I miss that? Like, I don't know if they're going to have me, they're not going to have me do it right now, but I'll look up the lyrics for I Would Die For You from Prince. He's like, excuse me, sorry, I had to burp that out. You're just a sinner, I am told. Build a fire when you're cold. Make you happy when you're sad. Make you good when you are bad. Something talks about, something about being a dove. I am consciousness, I am love. All I really need is to know that you believe. I would die for you. And I feel like that's spirit, and I feel like that's him speaking about like the saviors, like Jesus and Buddha and all that. Like they would die for us, but I realize I would die for any of you because I know there's no death. So like I have no fear of death. If they come after me or they kill me, it's like I have a plethora of things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have hundreds and hundreds, thousands of videos that have never seen the light. I have pictures, all these things that have never seen the light. I was like, I know whatever would be meant to be, it would be meant to be, and it would go out into the world. You know, it's like I'm a prophet, so it's like I don't have to be alive for that to happen. I hope so. I hope I get to, but I've already got to be able to come to this awakening. So to me, I feel like I've come full circle, and I feel like what a gift, you know, because I really thought I was fucking crazy as a kid. Everybody told me I was crazy. Everybody made me believe I was crazy. You know, they kept putting me on medication and trying to put me away, and I have been through so many different therapists, and they're like, well, we believe you believe it. And I'm like, you know, and then when I found my people and started to, I was like, okay, there's more of me than them. There's more of believers than non-believers. So that was really powerful. Okay, so then the next one, because they said there's one after this. So then the next one is, we're having unexpected technical difficulties. Spirit said for some of you, you're having the reason why you're not receiving is because you're not in that. You have to be in a certain vibration. Now that this portal has opened, it like just opened up even wider, and the vibration has just gotten higher on the earth. That's what happened with Waltz. And I mean, think about it. If she had, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm just telling you what I feel. Do you really think it's an accident that Trump's VP's wife is Indian? You think that's an accident? You think it's an accident that she's extremely intelligent and well-read? No, it's not an accident. He needs to be a man of the people. I'm not, oh yeah, if I was racist, if I was a white supremacist, I would never allow, you know what I mean? A woman of color and his old like rhetoric and like mind, right? But when he wants to get what he wants, he's going to go and have the VP be a young guy who's kind of handsome and charming, and the girls, you know, will think he's cute or whatever. And then he's got this wife who he really genuinely loves, right? I'm sure they're good people, but he said something really asinine about women and cats and all this, and he just made an ass out of himself. And then they interview his wife, and she's like super articulate, and she's like, oh, he, you know, blah blah blah, and like apologizing for him. I mean, it's just like, it's so fucking fucked up and crazy, you know. But there are no accidents, trust me. There are no accidents. That is purposeful. That is trying to swing the vote. That's what's called swinging the fucking vote. Because if people don't know who to vote for, they vote for how they feel. And they vote with who they align with. So if you're having technical difficulties moving in your purpose or moving forward or whatever, Spirit's like, that's because they're trying, but it's because you're not aligning with your path and your purpose. You're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you've got to give shit up. And you can't keep making excuses. The excuses are over and done. There are no more excuses anymore. They love us, and we're exactly where we're supposed to be and all that, but I'm going to keep saying this to all of us over and over and over and over and over until every single one of you, you know, either gets tired of my shit and leaves, or you finally walk through that door and go, oh my God, you're right. Because once you get to the other side of that, trust me, I'm like, my husband and I, we had the most beautiful conversation. It was rough, but it had to happen. And we both, like, through tears, were like, I love you so much. I love you so much. But it was like, I will let you go though. Like, I want your happiness. And that's what true love is, when you genuinely want each other's happiness. But going through someone's addictions is very difficult, and it's not for the faint of heart. It's really not. The next one was, my nose will not stop. The next one is the Karjan Festival. I don't remember the music, but I'll put it below. Basically, all these things is, I'm just kind of telling you what's going to be in the community section, because it's that morning. It's called Morning Mood, but it's from the Berliner Philharmonic. I want to be like, boop, 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 boop. I mean, something like that though, you know, do, 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 do. But having that where it's like, where every morning is a good morning, because every morning is a new start to a new day, to a new time, and just work through it. And whatever had happened the day before, let it go. If it comes into your orbit again, you'll find a new way to deal with it. You'll find a new way to confront it. You'll find a new way to set boundaries until you don't want to deal with that anymore, or you don't want to work through that anymore. You're like, nope, nope, I'm done. And then the next one was Pleiadian channeled messages. It says I am is our like kind of like the last thing they're leaving us with. The Pleiadians are leaving us with I am, right? Like I am beautiful, I am awesome, I am gifted, I am funny, I am cool, I am beautiful, I am loving, I am abundant. That kind of like declaring what you are until you really believe it and become it, right? And the second part of that is you are the light. And say, I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light at the end of the tunnel. Baby, you are the light at the end of the tunnel. Who knows? You don't know that one person. You can change one person's life and change the trajectory of their life. Your whole purpose in life, what if your whole purpose in life was just to be in that one place at the right time? To say that one thing to that one person that changes the trajectory of the planet. We're all doing it every second of every day. With great strength comes great responsibility. Stop playing small. Okay? And above that it said, celebrate outstanding Indigenous creators. This is something they'll probably have me put in one of my little cute little, if you ever see these, like when I do like screenshots, like stuff like that, when I'm, there's little hidden messages. It may like seem silly and stupid to some people, but like the songs go in there for a reason. Like there's always something in there. So check out the shorts as well. Make sure to like, subscribe, share. Every time you share something, it also picks up the algorithms, because it really is like a matrix, right? So we need to get us into the algorithms, because the more of us that there are, and there are more of us out there, the more we find each other, the more we can, you know, help the other people heal themselves and stop with the pain and the suffering. Oh, they had me, I did take a screenshot. So it says, so this is the part that they had me take a screenshot of. You, I would die for you. Yeah, darling, if you want me to. You, I would die for you. You're just a sinner, I am told. Build a fire when you're cold. Make you happy when you're sad. Make you good when you are bad. I'm not a human. I'm a dove. I'm your conscience. I am love. All I really need is to know that you believe. Yeah, I would die for you. And darling, I would die for you. And then it just goes on. I would die for you. Okay? So there's something in that. And then the next one was Etta James. I'd rather go blind. So it was interesting because I was like, because that song, I know that song really well. I love Etta, rest in power, sister. Saw her in concert. As close as I am to my computer, I was about 5 feet more than that from Etta James, and got to watch her in concert. She had to sit on a chair because she was really sick, but it was worth every, oh my gosh. And like just the few times she'd look at me and I was like I'm like Etta James, like it was just like Etta James. I mean, I don't think I even understood at the time how powerful it was that I was at her concert, but like now, because it was like 20 years ago, and now I'm just like, I'm just so blessed to have been there. But anyway, she was so magical. She just had so much magic and so much love inside of her. But you could tell she was in pain and she was suffering, but she didn't fucking care, man. She would still sing with a smile on her face, and she'd be like, I love music, y'all. Like, she was just like, I just love to sing. She was just so great. Kind of reminds me of Dolly, that energy. But Spirit wants me to say, the album is the Chess 50th Anniversary Collection, Her Best. Etta James, Her Best. And so that's where we are, right? Because the Age of Aquarius came in 1969, so we are officially in like the 55th year, right, of like, since, because we're in 2024, it was 1969, so we are in the 55th year of the Age of Aquarius, and Spirit is saying they're going to be there for us. They would rather, like they want us to start thinking like, I'd rather go blind than not be who I am. Like, I'd rather go blind than not be the loving creature that I was brought here to be. You can look up the song. I mean, it's got a whole other, it's got a lot of meanings in it, right? But we don't need to, because we've been blinded. We've been wearing blinders, but we are not blinded. You know, like we're only blinded if we choose to be blind. Does that make sense? So the next one was, it was Sylvester, which I didn't even know about this artist. And the album is called Live at the Opera House. I think it's their signature album. And it's like a compilation of A Song for You, Could It Be Magic, and I forget the other one. But it was so beautiful. And I feel like that's for somebody. I feel like that's for somebody to, like, you know, you don't have to, like, you're like, I don't know how to write my own songs. You don't have to. Mashups have become like a brand new thing. People are doing mashups all the time. You can even do that with slam poetry. Like maybe you're like, you write your own poetry, but you want to inject like other poets in your work. Maybe you're like a huge fan of Agatha Christie, you know what I mean? And you're like, you like novels and like whatever, but you just like, you can write a book within a book, talking about a book, or like, you know what I mean? Like Julie, was it Julie and Julia or something, right? With about where she takes Julia Child's cookbook, and you know, she started writing a blog about it, and then she decided to like cook everything in the book. But she, you know, apparently Julia Child didn't like that, but I think it's clever and really cute. And if that was me, I think it was cool that she was doing that, but everybody's different, you know. But that's what I'm saying. Spirit's saying, don't be afraid to co-create with something that's already been created. It doesn't make you a copy. If you're doing it right, it doesn't make you a copy. Like I spoke in one of my other readings, and I don't mind talking about it. In one of my book series, I talk about supernatural, but I'm talking about supernatural as supernatural. I'm not stealing their names. I'm not stealing the characters. I'm talking about the energy of it and its existence, and it makes that part of the story funny, if you get it, right? So it's like, it's something like that. I'm feeling like there's some connection for you guys, and I'm definitely feeling food, because I just posted a shorts recently. Like I said about the community, always check out the shorts section. I try and post every day. Sometimes lately they've been having me post multiple a day. But they're little messages or little things here and there, and we're pulling in our tribe every day, all the time, you know. But that's what I'm getting from them, is that, you know, about us taking it, you know, every breath, every step, every, you know, at a time. But there's so much that's happening all at once. And, you know, it's hard to be an original anymore of anything. You know, they're saying like, it's okay. And if you are an original, that's great. You know, I mean, because there's new things happening every moment. But anyway, so they want us to remember that chained and shackled, we're not chained and shackled. It's literally our own, you know, which is really funny, because the person that I was talking about earlier that was driving me crazy, this angel number is, oh my gosh, you guys, I believe it's either an eagle or a hawk. I think it's an eagle. I'm almost 100% positive. Yeah, an eagle just flew by. We have a hawk family that are having babies over here. We have an eagle family. We had a woodpecker family. We had another bird family. So definitely, if you haven't seen the bird readings, check them out, because I did a picker reading with the bird feathers, messages from the birds, and there was an eagle one on there. So I feel like that's for somebody. Okay, so, but anyway, very interesting that 1155 keeps coming up, and I'm like, that's so funny. So our angel number to work with from now until the next Lionsgate portal is 1155, and it says, here's the few that I was given, because I want you to research it on your own. It's always going to be different for you, but these are the ones that I was given for today in this teaching. It says, if you keep seeing the angel number 1155, it's a sign that you are leaning into curiosity and listening to your spiritual guidance. So yay, good for you. And also in numerology, 11 and so 5 and 5 is 10, so it's 12, but it comes out to the number 3. So it could even be threes. You're seeing a lot of threes, or 333 or 33. Angel number 1155, love and relationships. The universe is nudging you to step outside your comfort zone and embrace the unknown. This was posted on April 5th, 2024. So April is a 4 month, which is interesting because we're in an 8th month. So this is like, you know, 4 months ago. Interesting. So that fours might mean something for you too. So 4 and 1 is 5. And then 2024 is 8, and 8 and 5 is 13, which is the number of the goddess. So yeah, it's bringing the balance of the divine feminine. That's where the love, that's where it comes from, the divine feminine. That's where it grows. That's where it sprouts out of, right? Otherwise, they would have had the divine masculine have the baby. The mothers, they created a divine feminine entity to be the birther and the feeder and the nurturer of the babies. And that's what we need right now. We need to nurture this energy, this dark force energy, like babies, because that is. If you really listen beneath the surface, they're all like, it's like they're like little crying babies. They're like, oh, I needed to be heard. I need to be heard. And it's like there's a side of you that's like, oh my God, like, dude, like you're losing it. But then there's another side that's like, oh, like your heart, you know? And so they want us to start looking at it more like that, like our heart, like, oh, my heart goes out to them, you know, like genuinely, and having compassion. But you can have compassion without being a doormat, okay? And then the next one is trust your intuition. Angel number 1155 is a reminder to trust your gut instincts. Remember, we talked about that. Listen to your inner voice and follow your own moral compass. Yes. That's why we're acting as one right now. A lot of people are leaning into Kamala and Waltz because Harris and Waltz on the ticket, because we're all like sick of it. It's like when you see her, she's like a joyful person. Like she likes to be joyful. She's silly. She's goofy. She's kind of weird, which I love about her. I really watched a lot of stuff and I'm like, she's so weird, but I love her. That's what makes her so fucking awesome. I think that's why people are aligning with her too, because she's kind of weird, you know, but in a cool way. Like if you hear like some of her interviews or the things that she says or her responses, it's like weird, cool weird. Like we're like, that's interesting weird, right? Somebody once told me, don't say weird because it gives a connotation that it's like a negative, that there should be shame. She's like, just say that's interesting because people find interesting more. But I think that there's also weird, queer, like those words, they're there for a reason because they all hold a different energy and a different meaning. So I love it. I love it. And I love that J.D. Vance made such a silly remark about that, because you know, it's like, it's the last election, you know, or when Trump was going against Hillary, we all know it was rigged. I mean, come on, we know that. Or it really did win because hate was winning. But then now we see over the last, like, look what hate did. It just turned us into a fucking, like, you know, but COVID brought us all back to home, back to family, back to center. So now people do think, oh my gosh, my niece, you know, is gay. I wouldn't want this to happen to her. Like, I love her. She's such a, you know what I mean? It's like, it's changed everything. People have changed. Everything has changed. Like, even like, you know, I saw this really cute interview with Selena Gomez. And, well, it actually wasn't with Selena Gomez. It was with her new guy. And he was talking about himself, Benny. He was talking about how he's like, look at me. He's like, someone like her would never look at me. But he's like, she doesn't see, you know, but I think he's beautiful, actually. He has really gorgeous eyes. He's beautiful. You could see his soul. He's a good guy. And so she is like, he's gorgeous. When you fall in love with somebody, you see the beauty in them. But if you say to somebody, look at that person, they're ugly, look at their teeth, look at blah, 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 and make fun of them, it's like, then it's like a false delusion of that. Instead of seeing him and being like, wow, look at how beautiful he is. Look at how beautiful his soul is. Look at how beautiful his heart is. Look at his eyes. You can see into his eyes how beautiful he is, you know? That thing that happened with that person, that's why I've given them so many chances, because I see their soul and I see how beautiful they are. I love them. But they're allowing the shadow and the hurt and the pain, you know, they're also a Trump supporter. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I needed to go through all that. I needed to see all that. I needed to have this with you guys so I can talk to you about this. I didn't think I'd go on 2 hours and 21 minutes. I was like, I'm thinking we were going to have like an hour session with this today, but I'm so grateful and I'm glad, because we needed to talk about all this. You know, the election is the elephant in the room, the donkey in the room, right? Whenever, if you know that the Democrats and the Republicans, you know, it's like one's a donkey and one's the elephant. And so even then it's like, why are you pitting animals against each other? I'm not even going to say who they align with. I don't even remember. It's like red, blue. You think I would after all the years of being in politics, but I remember when that started, even when I started working in politics, I had a hard time with that, because I was just like, who cares? Like, why do we care about this? Like, why are you having, like, you know, a donkey and then an elephant? It's just like, you know, they're both beautiful spirit animals and they give completely different medicine, you know? So, and elephants are leaders, you know, and donkeys are powerful, but donkeys can be like, you know, me, all about me, you know? So it's like, I mean, I love donkeys, but they could be very kicky. And, you know, I've had very gentle, loving donkeys that I've played with and hung out with. And I've hung out with some donkeys, even like there was this baby donkey that I was like, you are kind of a brat, but their mom was kind of a brat too. So I was like, that's interesting. And we spoke about the donkey recently, and one of the readings we talked about how that story I saw about the mother donkey who was kicking her baby to death because she doesn't look at it as a baby donkey that just came out of her. She's thinking, she doesn't know what's happening to her. And so she looks at the baby as it's attacking her, like it's something that hurt her. So she starts kicking it, and the baby's like, oh, I just came out of you. What are you doing to me? You know, they saved it. It's okay. But that happens all the time. Animals get killed by their parents because they don't understand. So, it's like some are sentient and some are not. Some are here for lessons. Some are here for just mass, awareness. I mean, it's just, there's so many different tacks to take in that direction. So this reading really came full circle. Also, it's interesting because it's exactly 4 o'clock. When I just looked at my phone, it's exactly 4 o'clock. So we talked about the witch, and then Vivaldi was the first song I heard, and it was this image. Oopsie. It was this image, which is like, I think it's like Venice, or it's like, yeah, I think it's like from the canals of Venice. So, but Venice is like really romantic, right? Like we think of Venice, and I've been to Bruges in the Netherlands and in Belgium, and it's like a fairy tale, and they call it like Little Venice because it's all these canals, and it's like why don't we want to live in a fairy tale? Why would we want to live? It's like I've never felt a kinship with like malls or mini malls or like these metal things that don't have any character, you know what I mean? These architectural, some things are beautiful and clean lines and all that. I do like that, but there's also something about the fairy tale where we've lost that, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's like your own life should be your fairy tale. This is your earthly experience. You get to decide how it goes. Don't let other people dictate, judge, rule, or control your happiness or your love and how you give it. This is your story. So remember that. The next one is actually for something else, but I'm drawn to it. So it says, don't let someone change who you are to become what they need. Yes! I mean, come on. Like, that is so freaking powerful. Right? Me, needy baby, greedy baby. That's what's happening. It's like they want us to be more hateful, and we don't want to. We're like, no, we're going where the love is, man. These two, they're like celebrating love and life and family and happiness and community. That's what we want. We don't want to be segregated, because that's how they've controlled us all this time, is by separating us and segregating us and pitting us against each other. It's been going on since the dawn of time, right? Instead of being like, no, we love each other. You are me, I am you. We take care of each other, because by not taking care of you, I'm not taking care of myself, and that's what they want. They made us pay to get sick by putting shit in our food and our products and everything, and then they made us pay to get well. It's the sickest thing. And people see it. People, especially people who've lived through cancer, or many family members, and they're seeing the bureaucracy and the bullshit and the red tape and the money and how gross it is. They're like, this is fucking gross. Healthcare should be universal. And yes, our doctors should make a lot, and our teachers should make a lot, and the people who are out here, like myself, like we're here, like we went through it to help and bring awareness to people. We all should make money and be abundant, absolutely, and so it is. Whatever's in each of our greatest and highest good, I claim it for us. And I relieve us and release us of anything that no longer serves our greatest and highest good. As long as you claim that for yourself, I claim that for me, and I claim it for you. We are in an untapped amount of abundance on this planet and beyond. We are so blessed. Enjoy your time here. Take good care of yourselves. Take good care of your avatar. But most importantly, after that happens, take care of each other, because that's what it's all about. So I'm going to take a break. We're going to jump in on these cards. And if they happen to, my nose has been really, I feel like there's somebody that like wants to say something. Is there someone that wants to come through? Oh, my friend Pat, who passed, who we have this from. This peace motto. Keep it on your screensaver. Keep saying it over and over and over. Go look in the community section. It's got a blue background. You can't miss it. And it's such a great poem. I mean, it starts with peace and it ends with eternal peace. And it says something on the bottom, but it's so small. Even with my glasses, I can't see what that says. I was just drawn to the bloodstone. If there's any other crystals that you see here, there's an amethyst. There's lots of crystals here, but I was really drawn to the bloodstone. So calling that energy to work with it, especially when you're trying to like, rid your body of like toxicities. And I'm telling you, if you're wearing perfume, if you're using soaps, if you're using things that are toxic or they leave a lingering smell forever, it's toxic. If it leaves a lingering smell forever, it's toxic. You know how I know? Because I use real products, like real essential oils, real things that I made myself, and they start to fade after a while because it's natural and it's an herb, and it starts to get old and then it dies, right? Like there's still some medicine in there maybe, but so if you're like spraying yourself with perfume and your whole house smells like that and your car smells like that and blah blah, that is toxic. And there's something in there that's keeping that to linger. and it's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for your lungs. It's not healthy for your system. There are so many beautiful natural scents out there that you can create your own. This self-care summer, I've been having so much fun at making things for myself. I made this beautiful face oil. I know I'm a little shiny, but I don't care. I don't have makeup on, but I made this beautiful face oil for myself with chamomile and frankincense. Frankincense was the essential oil that came through for us to work with too over the next year. It's good for protection. I like putting it over my third eye. Sometimes I put it on the pads of my fingers, especially when I'm working with spirit and cards and things like that. But there's so many things and so many herbs and plants and foods, and it's just endless. And you can make things for yourself. And if you make them in large batches for yourself, then you just make it once and it lasts you like a few months. Then you do it again. It's not that big of a deal. What's the difference if you get in your car and drive to the store and go and buy it? How much time do you think that takes? You can make it in a quarter of that time. And if you keep stuff at your home, like I've been trying to keep certain things in, like, bottles and, and keeping things in glass and not in plastic so it doesn't have any leaching. All of that stuff makes sense. We need it. We need to pay attention to our avatars and take better care of it. There's no more bullshit, you guys. I love you so much, but with everything, I'm really imploring you. If you are still here and you are still watching this message is for you. Okay? So I love you. I love you. I love you. Love yourself. I'm going to go and take a little break and I'll be right back. I can't wait. There's so many cool cards. I can't wait. Okay, I love you guys. All right, I have to lean forward. So, until next time, if you're not staying for the reading, until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you. Okay, I love you, love you, love you. But otherwise, I'll be back in a minute. Okay. Bye. Pause. Hey, you guys. Okay, so I just found out that Alder is on his way here, so I don't have much time. Oh, the candle just went out. Oh, it's like meant to be. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys some cards, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to that's getting smoky, hold on. I'm going to put screenshots of the cards in the community section. I already did for the pick a reading, but from these same decks, but I'm also going to put these in there because I feel like these are kind of like some closing messages kind of thing, but I also feel like it's for you to go further on your own. So I'm going to see if they want me to, okay, so here we go. I was going to say, I didn't know if they want me to just put them all out, so we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back. Ugh, thank you, Spirit. The candle is forever lit. They're like so cute. Okay, so the first card we got was number 57, which is also number 12, and the number 3 is call your spirit home. There are many meditations and just many things that you can do to call your soul home. But basically by getting out of these situations with people who are not here for your greatest and highest good, like just getting out of their orbit is going to be a massive game changer for you. Also, the fact that there's a house here, and look at how there's like a person there. I feel like that's your higher self being like, come home, like, right? Like, so when they're saying like call your spirit home, it's like connecting with your, I don't feel like I'm yelling, and it's like connecting with your higher self. It's because the computer is kind of far away. So if I was yelling the whole time before, I'm sorry. But, this is you. This is basically your higher self is calling your ass home and saying, like, that world doesn't exist anymore. That person, that place, that name, that title, that person's, like, it's gone. It's over. But I also feel like for some of you, like, it's definitely, like, whenever I see something so, like, an imagery that's so obvious like that, it's more than just like home to spirit. I feel like this has something to do with your house as well. So like maybe in your home, like they're saying like call your spirit home. I had said to my partner recently, I'm like, I've really gotten away from, ever since we've lived off grid the last 2 years, I feel like I've pulled away from so many of my good practices just because I'm so tired. I'm working on the house. Like it takes so much work to live off grid. It's awesome and it's really cool. And I love being sustainable and all that, but it's very tiring. And I said, I feel like I've let a lot of my good practices go because I was not in my flow. And I was trying to become something that I'm not. I'm glad for the experience, but I'm not meant to live off grid. Like I'm just not. I'm not meant to live off grid, which, by the way, I'm not here to bash candidates and stuff, but I have to say, one of the things that really, where I was like, I'm like, am I the only one? I was like, Trump literally made fun of Kamala for wanting to build more windmills. He made fun of her. He made fun of her for wanting to use natural resources. If that, he's like, oil is good, and oil, and it's like, I'm like, I felt like I was watching like an old black and white footage from like the World War, from the First World War and the Second World War. It's like, yeah, it's all been about oil for the last fucking 100+ years. You know what I mean? It's like, and gold and all these things. And when people started traveling to these lands and like, you know what I mean? And like starting to see it for what it is and starting to be like, oh, and so that's where the deception and the black magic comes in, right? When people are like, oh, look over here, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh no, look over here. It's like, oh no. I was like, when he made fun of her, I was like, what the? People were laughing and making fun with him. And I was like, yeah, it's called like wind energy. Why wouldn't you use it? Why wouldn't you use natural water? Why wouldn't you use a natural spring coming out of the mountain for water? It's kind of weird. But when you think about this for a second too, imagine they found so many like undersea, you know, they're like underwater, and it's like, how, so we're 70% water, but how much water were we then? It's just very interesting. There's just like all these things, and I feel like spirit is like, what is home to you? Is earth home? Is your soul home? Yeah, all of the above. But it's like home is a state of mind. So when you're calling your spirit home, you're calling your soul back to yourself and getting away from like these things that are like, what are you talking about? Why would you make fun of her? I literally was like, this is a rally. People are watching this. This is on live TV. I'm like, am I the only one that's, I'm like, but you know, it's funny, when I was younger, like I remember that, like I remember like I moved to LA in 1995 and like nobody was recycling where I came from. That was like a new thing for me. And then my family would make fun of me, or like I was like, where do you put your plastic? And they'd go, in the garbage. Like I was an idiot. And I was like, oh, there's Alder. You can always hear him coming. That's so funny. You know, and I was like, but I was the crazy one because I wanted to, I'm like, so if we keep doing this, I'm like, how are we ever, I'm like, I don't know. But then I was the one that drank a lot of water bottles. So I definitely gave my damage of plastic to the planet too. You know what I mean? Like but we've learned from it, and we've learned from it. So it's like, you don't perpetuate something. Yes, oil is good. Yes, oil helps or whatever. But it's like, we're talking about emissions. We're talking about like this pulp mill by our house, like this smell that comes out of these trees. It smells like evil. It smells like death. I'm like, right there should tell you like that we're not supposed to be doing that. You know, oh, I may have to pause it. He may not have seen his phone. If he didn't see, if he knocks, I'll pause it. But anyway, he may have. I told him he was walking and walk around, but I was finishing a reading. But you know what I mean? And home is where the heart is. Like, he's living in his car right now. When I met him, he was living in his van. He was living in his truck when I met him, and now he has a van, and he's very happy like that. And I'm like that kind of person. Like, I really like being alone too, but we love being together. Like, home is like when we're together. Like, home, I am home wherever I am. I am home. But I love that Bubba and Alder are my home too, because they're my community. They're my family. You're my community. You're my family. We're home. So I used to cry and be like, I'm homesick, and I didn't understand. And now I understand. But we're always home. We're just in this dimension on Earth right now, but you're home. I hope that helped you. Okay? Let's see if they want to, do you want me to go to any of these yet? Okay. So let's see which ones you want. Okay, the next one is, oh, okay. All right. You only want me to do this. Okay. I love this. I love this. It's like a game. It's so fun. Okay. So I want you, I saw this when I was pulling this together. I want you to close your eyes. Taking a deep breath. Clear your mind. Clear your thoughts. Get calm. Be in your warmth, in your heart, be in your love. Everything we talked about, especially if you watch this whole thing. But even if you didn't, it's okay. But if you're just be in your heart. Be in your heart right now. Just be in your heart. Be in your love. Who cares about the naysayers? Who cares about anybody else? This is about you. Spirit wants you to ask a question, something that's been on your mind, whatever comes to your mind first. Person, place, thing. Could be a job, could be a move, could be a love, could be a family member, could be an animal, could be a material thing, it could be a want, a need. Doesn't matter. Maybe you want a new car. Maybe whatever it is. Ask your question, and I'm going to give you your answer. It's a two-part answer. It's a two-part answer. So just to let you know, it's a two-part answer, okay? You ready? Okay. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And my hands was covering this, so initially, you can kind of see it, but not. So this is just a yes to your question. For some of you, it is going to be alone, and some of you, it is going to be back with someone, okay? The number is 35, which is also the number 8. And a 3 and 5 could mean something too. Like, I feel like it's 3 of you, and like 5 is like the change and transformation, and like you'll know. But it's like, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. So you need to bring love into the situation, whatever it is, okay? So I'm hearing bringing love into the situation. And it's going to change like the snake. And I'm hearing for some of you, it's going to take a year from now. But it's okay, and I know that sometimes that's not the answer you want to hear, but number 1, it's going by really fast. Number 2, you're divinely protected. And number 3, if you take bite-sized steps on your way there, then you're going to have an awesome experience. But we don't go from point A to point B. We have to drive, if you're looking on a map, right? You're looking on a map, and you see there's you and there's the destination. You can't fly over to it. Not yet, anyway. On this plane, you have to find a way. Walk, crawl, take a train, take a bike, plane, whatever. But you got to get from here to here. And you got to go through everything in between until you get there. Whether it's 5 minutes away, 5 hours away, 5 days away, 5 weeks away, 5 years away. But 5 is very significant, and I'm feeling the number 3. We spoke about the number 3 earlier, remember? And also, this came up in one of the readings, and I'm going to say the same. I felt the same energy. I feel like for some of you, the reason why you're stuck is because, see how this part, there are no accidents, right? So the fact that this penguin is white and the other penguins are black shows me that, or cream and they're dark, you know what I mean? I feel like this is you. Oh, and my throat chakra. Oh my gosh. Speaking your truth. Throat chakra, throat chakra, throat chakra. Yeah. I just had my own little epiphany and a breakthrough of my own personal stuff. So I'm having a little bit of, these are for me too. Because I just realized like one of the people that I was needing to let go of, like their favorite animal is a penguin, but I totally forgot about it when I was doing the reading, but it just came through now because that reading was for somebody else. But now I was like, I just like had my aha moment because like, right, sometimes it's like, yeah, a lot of people love penguins because they mate for life and like all these things, but sometimes, you don't want to go with the crowd. And if you don't want to go with the crowd, but your partner wants to go with the crowd, but you don't feel like, let's just put it this way. Let's put it this way, since we're getting political on this shit. You are a supporter of joy and love and happiness, and your partner thinks that Trump is awesome and a god and has an altar to him. He calls himself the second coming of Christ. He's the second coming of something. First time that really kind of put that puzzle piece together. Interesting. Isn't that interesting? So I'm going to just leave that right there. I'm just going to leave that right there. I love when they have those moments where it's like, yeah, I'm just going to leave that right there for a second. Because it's very real. It's Very real. So now, but I feel like this is you basically is what they're saying, is like you're more in the love and they're going towards the yes men and the follower. They're followers, right? Like they're sheeple and you're not. You're stepping outside and you're like, mm-mm. And this could be with family and friends too. Let me tell you something. I miss my people. I've said this a gazillion times. I miss people. I miss people. There's a lot of people in my life I miss so much right now. I wish I can call them. I wish I can go see them. I wish I can hug them. I wish I can laugh with them and joke with them and be silly. That world is over. That relationship needs to stay there. I can visit it, but I can be an observer of it. What if we just observed our memories instead of like taking them in emotionally, internally? What if we just observed our memory and said, wow, that was a cool time. I was crazy, but that was fun. And just love it for what it was. You could even be somebody that was like, wow, I was at a rally and like I fucking, kicked somebody because of the way they looked and they were different from me. That's okay. That's who you were. If you're here, you're not that person now. Interesting example. It's coming into the reading. Alder is here. I texted him and told him that I am finishing up a reading. I told him he was free to be on the property. He must have interpreted that it was okay to clean the poop tank. But I usually like to make sure all the windows are closed and blah, 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 because the smell is so awful. You know what I mean? Because we live off grid and it's like a whole thing. And he has to do it every week. My brain is like, I wouldn't even, if someone was doing a reading, I would either stay in my car, or if I got outside of my car, I'd be so quiet, and because I would totally respect like that they were connecting with these entities and all these people and blah, blah, blah. He does not see it the same way. He must have read the text that it was, whatever, or he's like, I'm tired, I'm just going to do this now. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to judge why he's doing it. I have no idea. But one of the reasons why we don't live together is because of the latter, because he does stuff like that. And he's not doing it to be a dick. He's just like, hey, I'm doing you a favor and I'm tired, so I have to do this now. Sorry. And I'm like, but I'm doing this right now. And it's like, but I love him because I know he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad person. And I'm whispering because I don't want him to hear something out of context and get upset, But it's just, everybody's different. It doesn't make me love him any less. He's also very, very considerate and will bring me something that I needed, like I'll like telepathically be like, oh, I need this. And he'll be like, oh, hey, I picked this up. You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, hey, you know what I mean? I don't judge. It is what it is. Okay, so Spirit, do we want to pull any of these today? I feel like they're kind of sticking together. So let's see. Let's see if any want to come. Okay. So I didn't look. So the first one is, oh, the threshold. And it is 45, which is also the number 9, the threshold. So again, I will put pictures of these in the community section. I'm not going to get into the books today because Alder is doing me a favor and he's taking me shopping. So my stuff ran long today. So I think this is very interesting because look at that, like the threshold. Also, it kind of looks like hands playing a piano. But I like the fire because we're in Leo right now. And look at that. Looks like a forest fire. This is so interesting. I'm going to put my glasses on and look at this a little bit closer. I almost feel like I want to do like an extended reading. If they call me to do an extended reading, I'll put a link below. If they don't, then that just look in the community section. But I'm feeling like, because all of these archetypes, they are so intense and extensive. So it's really, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, I can not even read even though the book is going to be amazing. You should definitely check it out because I'll put a picture of it, what the book says. But there's always even more inside the card. There's just so much to see. But yeah, I see like a forest fire, and so that's really interesting. So if that means anything to anybody. And I thought those were hands. They're feet. And it looks like a bird's nest. Like it almost looks like, it almost looks like somebody, it's almost like you're at the, like, and I feel like for some of you, this means like you're at the precipice, like, you know, it's about to burn through. And I feel like at the end of the Lionsgate portal, and if not the end of the Lionsgate portal, definitely by the end of Leo season, I feel like you guys are going to, something fucking major is going to happen. Like major, major, like, I don't mean to be like, say it again, but I mean major, like a kind of breakthrough that, because let me tell you something. I've told you guys this before. If you're not going to do it and you signed on to do it, you're going to do, something's going to happen. If you don't have the strength, the courage, whatever, to make the changes and step out of your comfort zone, Spirit is going to throw something into your fucking wake that you're going to have to do it. But you know what? That's okay, because you'll just become stronger from it. You can take, you know, it's like you can take the easy, the medium, and the hard way out. You know what I mean? Of any situation, or through any situation. Not out, but through. Because we are going through the situation to get out, to get to the end of the light of the tunnel, like we spoke about earlier, right? So I feel like for some of you, like you're really on the precipice of this threshold, which makes sense, you know? I mean, especially with this little guy, you know? And I will say that I kind of felt like I saw this first before I saw the full couple. So it could be even just the divine feminine. It could be a lot of different things. And you know what? Right now, even though it's gross and stinky, I am happy for him because it's true. I know, like, he's been working his ass off, and he's been so, he took me like into the mountains on Thursday. Then he drove like somebody like 2 or 3 hours to an airport each way. So like I mean, he's a good guy, you know. So that's what I'm saying. It's like in his mind, he's just like, suck it up, sweetheart. You know what I mean? It can't be perfect all the time for us empaths. Sometimes we have to, you know, and we get stronger through these experiences. But I feel like for some of you, you're looking back and you're like sad. For some of you, they're already gone. Like you're just going through the motions, or like they're physically gone. Like they're really gone, or like you're going through the motions of it, or you're like, it's like you cannot let go of the past. And Spirit's like, the second you stop looking at them, you know how like when you watch something going away, you watch until like they're tiny ants and they disappear. It's like you can either hang around until that happens, or you can just turn around now and go towards what you want, because the answer is yes. So even if it hurts, the answer is yes. That's what I heard. Even if it hurts, the answer is yes. And if it hurts, it's okay, because sometimes you need to have the pain, you know, because we grow in the pain, and it's a cleansing too. You know, it's definitely the end of a chapter. Every Lionsgate is like, you know, a lot of people like myself, they feel like this is Christmas. That's why this, like, I'm exhausted. I mean, I'm like, I have a lot to do still before, because I've got something for Lula's life, you know, about the trauma bonding and all that. But I was like, after, I'm like starting Tuesday, I'm like, I'm going on vacation. I'm like, I'm taking some time off. Like, I really need to take some time off, because I've been going balls to the wall for like a few months now, and well, for years, but definitely this Lionsgate portal was amazing. But I'm like, holy shit balls on a cracker. Like, this has been an experience. Like, this has been something, and something I will never forget, and something I will always cherish and be grateful for. I feel like everything manifested. I know my home's coming. I know everything's coming together. But things have to fall apart before they come together. And we have to say goodbye to old ghosts so we can say hello to the new chapter. So this is the beginning. You know, it's like we have astrological year, we have the lunar year, we have, you know, Samhain, all these beautiful, you know, jubilations of things. But Christmas is like more like we made it through another season, like another like section of seasons. Like we made it, you know. I mean, I can go on and on, but I'm not going to. Okay, so then the next one is 63, which is the number 9, the venom. All these angel numbers. Yeah, it's like that. You guys remember when I used to tell you that old saying about drinking the poison? It's like you're drinking it's like you're, for some of you, it's like you're drinking the poison, but you're expecting the other person to die. It's almost like, I feel like for some of you, like in your situations, it's like you're waiting it out. You're waiting to see if they give up first, and Spirit's like, they won't give up first. Like you want that to happen, but they're like, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. And all they're going to do is keep fucking stealing your spirit. And it's going to be like this. I mean, I don't know if you can see. Where's the one where, because there's a way where you look at it and it looks like a wolf. I thought you could see the eyes, but you could see the moon, but you get the gist. Maybe they're there and I just can't see them right now. I always like to kind of show different views of the card. But like I said, that's why I put in the community section, so you can really look at it, because there's so much more. And I've really studied this deck, especially when I found out that she made it in, she literally created this deck in one of my favorite places in the world, which is not a common place. It's one of my favorite hideaways. I won't even tell you about it because it's not many people know about it. Well, I guess she said it in the books. I'm so pretty sometimes. My ex used to say that, but it is really funny, right? Because it's like just saying, like, you know, that old saying where like a really like creepy way to like downplay someone's intelligence, especially women, is to be like, oh, you're so pretty. Like, you're not very smart, but just keep your mouth shut. But no, but anyway. So I guess if you go and research this deck, you can find out on your own. But it's one of my favorite places, especially spiritual places. It holds a significant place for Alder and I. But when she spoke about how she created the deck and how the pictures came to be and everything, Kim Kranz, I mean, she's really phenomenal. So you may want to work with this energy. Like I said, I'll put a picture of for it to go further. And I think it's interesting that they're kind of having it go this way, because we've got like the penguin issue right here, and then we've got the yes, and then we've got the threshold. Which a threshold, right? You carry someone over the threshold of the house. So like that is interesting too. Like all those like, you know, extra meanings. And then you've got these two. You've got Venom and calling your spirit home, that are kind of like, and it makes sense, right? Because the mirrors, we're all mirrors for each other, but some of us are much bigger mirrors. And I feel like you guys are really big mirrors. I am too. That's why, do you ever notice that some people just not like you and you're like, they just don't like me? It's like, I used to get upset about it, but then I took it on as like a power thing. I was like, no, they don't like me. I was like, no, they must be intimidated about me. And I was right, but then fed from the ego too much, right? My dragon went too human. But there's something to that. There's really something to that. So think about that for a second. Okay. Then our next message is, the vision 55. Oh my gosh, we spoke about that, you guys. This is one of my favorite cards ever. Yeah, I'm just going to put the meanings in there. We've been going forever. This is such a perfect way to end this. And then I'll do a little decompress, and then I'll go get some good food and have a nice night and relax. I'm excited. So the vision. Yes, what is your vision? What's my purpose, Mama? You know what it is. You know what it is. I mean, we were just talking about the duality there, and then we have two twins, two owls. I did pull the cards, and I did know, but I forget. And that's why I like to have them pull it, because we're telling a story, right? I'm a storyteller. I'm a prophet. That's part of my job. I'm a muse. So the vision. I feel like, again, I need to put my little glasses on because they broke. I don't care enough. I don't use them enough, but I probably should get a new pair. And I should go and get, like, I should. Look at me shitting on myself. But this is really powerful. So we've got owls on either side of the tree. In the middle, we have, it kind of looks like a seal of approval, you know, like a seal on like a letter, but it also reminds me of a coin. And I feel like the hands are closed, like you're not receiving the message, the letter, the seal. You're not receiving the message, and you're not receiving the money because you're not holding your vision. And look at your vision. Like, you got all these things there. Is that an upside down horseshoe? I saw an upside down horseshoe, but also, did you see the snake skin? So next year is the year of the snake. So I feel like for some of you, okay, there's nothing wrong with this. And I'm going to say this in the most loving way so you hear this. So you really hear this, because this isn't some human judgment, shame bullshit. This is just fucking fact. Some of you move slower. That's okay. I move at the speed of lightning. That's part of me. It's the way I've always been. And my thing that not always, I don't want to say that, but in my experience, in my human life, throughout my life, either Kelly, Tallulah, doesn't matter. And my triple fire Sagittarius, Moon and Scorpio, water, I am like quick like a bunny. My brain, and I'm getting stuff all the time. My partner, super fucking smart, deep thinker. Definitely want them on your team. But they take things slower. They're a triple Gemini and their moon's in Sag. So they're air and fire. So, you know, and they have other things, of course, right? But when we have heavy things in our chart, like they're heavy Gemini, like I am heavy Sag. So when you have that and you've got wind and fire, you're going to have, you know, like it's nice to have it, but you know what I mean? So I realized, like, I cannot expect him to move any faster than he is prepared to move, just like I cannot move any faster than he wants me to move. There's things about me that drive him crazy or that he would rather me change. Of course there's nothing perfect. There's no such thing, like we said. Perfection doesn't exist, but we can hold our vision. Whatever relationships we're in, we need to hold our vision. He's here, I'm here, but we're holding our vision together. It's just, I need time alone, he needs time alone. And maybe this is a sign to you guys too, because he's in our tribe, right? I told him the other day, I said, I don't want to be with anybody else. I'm like, you're the love of my life. I love you. I really pray that this works out. And I'm not in a but, like, I want to get out of it. It's also, but I'm also aware that we are both changing dramatically every single day. And every time we see each other, we're different. So we will either come back around and that will come together, or we will be like, oh man, thank you so much for being my friend and community member. Thanks for holding me up, you know. Because we can't do it alone. The vision for this planet is community. The vision for the universe is love and community. So we need you to hold your vision. What makes you happy? What brings you joy? And the fact that we have an animal in here, work with owl spirit medicine if you haven't worked with them, okay? And I feel like the owl wants to be here. I feel like the owls want to be here behind the love. And interesting how the threshold wants to go over this. Like, almost like this stuff doesn't really matter anymore. Because this is the biggest thing that I feel like a lot of us are going through. And our last card, and we are at, what are we at? Oh, goodness gracious, almost 3 hours. Holy crappy-oly. Okay. Oh, yes, this card is so perfect. It's so fucking perfect. A little hint, I just did a shorts for this the other day with Katy Perry's song, and it was so perfect because I'm coming at you like a dark horse. Ah, the hunter. Woo, the hunter. Fuck. And it's number 9. Another 9, right? Because we're almost there. Today is a 9 day. We wrap it up. I love how it all comes together. And get it? We're in 3s. 3, 6, 9. Of course, we went to 3 hours. You know, the last reading, if I had, I jumped the gun. If I hadn't rushed, it would have been at exactly 4 hours. But it was, or 4, whatever it was. But I didn't. So it was like 59. And I was like, ah. But then I thought about it and I was like, yeah, but the day wasn't. The day was actually a 6. And you know what was really cool is when we went on our hike on the 888 on the Lionsgate portal, the actual trail that we went on was 868, and 888 comes out to the number 6, which also comes down to number 3. But I mean, I couldn't make that up if I fucking tried. We've never been there. We've never been there. It was one of the places we've always wanted to hike, and it was closed for years. Because it's really dangerous. There's really high mountains in this waterfall and whatever. But they reopened it and they put in fences and all this stuff. So we went there, and I was like, holy shit! I'm like, you've got to be kidding me! A butterfly landed on Alder. I mean, it was magic. It was fucking magic. It was so cool. We're in the Olympic Mountains. There was so much magic. It was so cool. So I realized that it was a 6 day. So I was like, 868, dude, is the fucking our trail. There are no accidents. And if you let the magic in, it will be. That's why I'm like this, because it's like, I know the other stuff that's coming, it's just old stuff that's trying to work its way through. It's just the shadow coming at me like a dark horse, the hunter. But see how the light illuminates the hunter and says, I see ya. You ain't gonna get me. You ain't gonna get me. Because we need the dark energy of the dark horse. Bless him. Bless him. For real, bless him. But the light is what's present right now. We have to bring the shadow back down. We're not here to douse it. We're here to be, look at, they're dark, we're light. Everybody can see what's there. You know, Trump had to win. These people had to come out of the woodwork. We needed 8 years to drag them out. Think of it that way. We needed 8 fucking years to drag them out. Because it's not just our country. Come on. It's not just our planet, right? It's not just our solar system. So we had to drag the darkness into the light so we can acknowledge it, and we can love it, and we can heal it. And the only way to heal this planet is through love. It's what we came from. It's what we are. Oh, my throat chakra. The hunter. Interesting also that owls are birds of prey. They're hunters. So you got 2 hunters but in a different way. It's all in the way you look at it. Are you the hunter or are you the prey? But we don't want to be pegged against each other as the hunter and the prey. We love hope. We are here for the hope. We're here for the happiness. We're here for the glitter, the sparkles. That's what people realized. He's not going to win because hate is done on this planet. We have tipped the scales. We have illuminated the light. If she doesn't win, then I will trust that there is something else. But I personally believe we have all been to hell and back, especially the light workers, and they know we're fucking exhausted, and there's only, like, it's not like, oh, there's only so much love we can give. We're always going to give the love, but our avatars can't handle all of this. Our avatars are in an evolution as well, which is why we're going back to the healthier foods and taking care of ourselves and realizing what they were doing and all that kind of stuff. Like, we realize that now. I mean, think about when you see the old ads where people would buy tapeworms. They would eat a tapeworm to get skinny. I mean, what the fuck? You know what I mean? It's like insane. All these like quick fixes, all these like, you know, these like snake oils and like these snake charmers and all this snake. But we're shedding our skin. And I believe, I hope anyway, and I believe and hope that love will reign. And that in a year from now, we'll be talking a whole different story when the Lionsgate portal will come through again and the dragons will still be here and the snakes will be omnipresent and we will shed that skin and we'll have a whole new thing to look forward to. I don't remember who's after the snake. I don't need to. It doesn't matter right now. So those are our messages, and I hope they helped you in any way. This was a long one, but I love you guys so much for hanging in there. We'll end with some little fairy magic. Are there any more messages? Spirit, do we have any more messages or any other cards? Are there any other things you want me to say or do before we wrap this up? Nope, that's it. And I hope they'll have you put timestamps in because I think it might help you guys, especially if you want to come back and watch any of this. But, you know, I know that people say, oh, people only have an attention span of 15 minutes. Well, I think we need to change that because what happened to the days of like actually going to school and learning? I loved when I used to go to like the lectures. I loved lectures. When I was in college, like I used to love the lectures. And some of my professors, I can literally hear them talk for hours. And I got so much. I would take notes or like, I, you know, record stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, just the pearls. You know what I mean? The advice. It's, you know, somebody else's wisdom. That's what school is all about. It doesn't have to be a university. I'm like, this is the Magical Medium University. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, that would be interesting. So anyway, that's it. I love you so much. I'm debating, you know what? I think I might take a picture of this. I might put this as the cover because it's really interesting. It's got some cool stuff going on. Although I don't want you guys to see the yes. So maybe I'll take this off because I felt like they said to take this off. So if you've gotten this far, you've already seen it. But for people who are coming in, it's more like, you know, trying to see, you know, for our new family. There are some people that are like, oh, cool. I don't even know what this is. I found myself here and I'm like, welcome home. Welcome home. All right, you guys. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. I love you so much. Blessed 888 portal. Feel free to please share below all of the things that you have been going through, what your life is, anything that you have gone through during this Dragon's Gate, Lionsgate portal of 2024. Please share any experiences or stories or signs or significance of anything. Or if you just want to just comment below on what transpired today. If there's anything that you aligned with, I am so happy to share that with you and with the tribe. So thank you so much. And thank you for the contributions. Thank you for sharing, subscribing, and liking, and getting us out into the universe because Spirit's doing a good job, but we have to help it too. So thank you so much. I love you. See you next time.